your home for Kings talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
Yes. On a Wednesday, Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports, taking you up to 2 p.m. Kyle Ledbetter behind the glass for us today. And I'm really excited about this show. I got to tell you, I'm really excited for every show. But I'm really, really excited about this show because whenever we're getting ready to do a show and something just clicks when it comes to a way to look at a situation that I don't think a lot of people are looking at it about or looking at it in that way, that makes me really excited. It makes me really excited to share it with all of you. And because of that, we're not going to waste too much time. That's at 10:15, how we're looking at the Kings. Y'all know, and I get told all the time on social media, in person, when people see me out in these streets, people love to tell me, Allen, you keep it real, and that's why we like you, and, you don't hold anything back, and I really do appreciate that. But, I never wanted to come off like I am pessimistic or a doomer or anything like that. My whole goal is to tell it like it is. And the reality is that I believe the Kings have a lot more options than maybe you think. You might not like all those options, but I do believe that the Kings have more options than you think. And I believe that Scott Perry, based on his connections and, what we've been told to believe as far as his connections throughout the league, not just by him or by the Kings organization, by others within the NBA and things of that nature. So that's coming up in about 10 minutes. Really excited to just take a different approach as everybody is. And yeah, yesterday after the I almost said the raffle, but that's basically what it was. Yesterday after the lottery, it was tough, man. And you have to think outside the box. Like a lot of things in life. You have to think outside the box. Scott Perry is walking into a situation that he did not create, and he's got to think outside the box in order to be successful. You look at this media game now. Like I said, I went to that conference, met a lot of great people. We know what the reality is. People's listening habits are changing. Oh, well, radio's this and radio's that. You have to evolve. And that's with everything in life. Radio has to evolve, and the Kings have to evolve as well. I don't know Scott Perry enough and know enough of his work to say I 1,000% trust him, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt until he proves me wrong. So that's coming up in about 10 minutes. And the reason I want to go in that direction, because I know this is a really, really tough day for Kings fans. And I'm looking at the leftover text from the morning show, Carmichael Dave, Jason Ross, and, some of the texts that have popped up on my feed as well as the drive guys and the calls, things like that. Yeah, this Tyrese Haliburton thing, it stinks, man. It stinks. This is the worst situation to be in for a Kings fan when it comes to somebody that you saw move on and then do this. But I got to give kudos to Tyrese Haliburton because I will say yesterday we spent some time on whether or not he will be respected if he wins the whole thing. Yesterday, watching them celebrate, something did click in my mind. And the one thing that can supersede, this person has gotten lucky or it was a fluke, whatever it is, the one thing that can supersede that is consistency and doing things consecutively, time and time again. Tyrese Haliburton going to the Eastern Conference Finals. Again, I think even if we say, okay, well, those are two fraudulent runs. There were a bunch of injuries. Maybe so. There were a lot of players injured. But if you look around at the Eastern Conference, we can look at it the other way too and say Tyrese dropping 30 points, 33 points, something like that, on crazy efficiency in Cleveland. Cleveland as healthy as they were going to be at that point. Donovan Mitchell trying to show his worth. You got to give kudos to that. And I do think that if Tyrese wins the whole thing, people are going to run with him in those ridiculous outfits. And I don't know that he'll ever be the face of the league, but he's going to be one of them. And even from my end, just kind of being a hater and they didn't have to face this guy or that guy, when you do something 2 times in a row, that fluke word doesn't seem to come up as often. That's just how it goes. So now you have Tyrese going back-to-back like Drizzy to the Eastern Conference Finals. On the Cavs end, and that's the great thing about sports. I told you that I was hanging out with my cousins, and I hadn't seen this particular cousin in at least a decade. And we dapped each other up, said, how's it going? He's got a kid who's about 12 now. I'm telling him about my family. The beginning of those conversations went on for about 5 minutes, and then we spent an hour arguing about Donovan Mitchell, whether he's a superstar or not. And that's the beautiful thing about sports. Hadn't talked to him in over a decade. And I'm still extremely confused. There was one play in particular, one sequence that to me highlighted exactly what Donovan Mitchell is and why he's so confusing. It was, I think there were about, 2 minutes left in the game, maybe less than that, maybe a little more than that. Donovan Mitchell misses both free throws. Both free throws. I think at this point, the Cavs were down 6. I think it would have brought it to 4. He misses both free throws. They get a stop from the Pacers. They get back to the other end, and he nails a corner 3. That's the Donovan Mitchell experience. No clue what to do with him. I feel fairly confident saying he's not a championship number 1, but he might be, and it's more about how he plays versus his talent. He might be the best you can get without being a championship number 1. Because what's crazy is you look at him versus Jalen Brunson, and Jalen Brunson is somebody's Brock Purdy somewhere. I think he's more talented, but kind of the same idea. You look at Jalen Brunson, you look at Donovan Mitchell, and on paper, who's more talented? It's Donovan Mitchell. But Donovan Mitchell, I'm not saying he's missing it. I'm just saying I feel like Jalen Brunson has it. And when Becky Hammond, and Donovan Mitchell only goes, 6'3"? I mean, maybe somewhere he says he's 6'4". And Donovan Mitchell isn't huge either, but he jumps out the gym. He shoots the 3 ball. I would say that he's more talented than Jalen Brunson, but I'm struggling with whether or not he's going to be able to cross over. And he honestly reminds me, he's not Zach LaVine. I think he's more talented than Zach LaVine, but honestly, I think he's better. But he does remind me of a guy in a DeMar DeRozan realm as well. Funny as both those guys are on the Kings. In a DeMar DeRozan realm where it's, you're really good at scoring, but you're not good enough to lead a team. He's never gotten out of the second round, and he's got to be one of the more confusing players in the NBA. One of the more confusing players in the NBA. So kudos to Tyrese Haliburton. If you're the Cavs, you got Kenny Atkinson. They did a great job. They did have injuries, don't get me wrong, but I saw a Cavs beat writer yesterday say, we can rest on the injuries if we want, but the Cavs, they got mocked. They got ran off the court. That's just the reality of the situation. So Tyrese goes back. We'll see what happens with the Knicks and Celtics. Obviously, it seems like the Knicks should take care of business at some point here with Jason Tatum coming back from that Achilles and will probably miss all of next year. If he comes back, he'd have to play some high-level basketball pretty quickly. As far as Tyrese is concerned, we'll have some fun with whether or not his pops gets allowed back. We literally had this conversation before the round started. Okay, well, if they go to the Eastern Conference Final, because they just said, they didn't give a timeline. They said indefinite, which means we can change it whenever we want. So do they see if they get to the finals? You still got to deal with the Knicks team. I'm really excited for, not that the Knicks haven't won yet, but I'm really excited for that Eastern Conference, assuming what it is. I will say this, fine. The Thunder-Nuggets series is really good. At first, it was a little boring to me, partly because, running around with baby Styles and it'll align with nighttime. I think the Nuggets games affect me, and I don't always get to watch the full thing. I got to watch essentially the full thing last night, and I'm in. I'm in on the Nuggets series, which is the most Captain Obvious take ever.
Sure, you got maybe the best game of the entire NBA playoffs.
And that brought me in. Shea, Jokic.
That's saying something, given how awesome it's been.
Those are my guys. We have our trade candidate of the day, a gritty point guard, a 2-time champ. Kyle cooked up this one. Right now, I'll tell you right now, I'm a no. but we're going to go through the process. Because I've been a no lately on, I don't know if I've said yes all week.
Yeah, you just want LaMelo Ball.
At the right price. So I think this guy in particular is going to be a bit confusing for people based on the price tag. He's one of those, you're getting paid a good bit because of what you've done and the team that you're on, but will you be this on a different team? And he's not a spring chicken either, but he's not as old, I don't think, as a James Harden, somebody like that. If you have any guesses, two-time point guard, a two-time champ, gritty point guard. I'm not even going to tell you the conference today because I've been making it too easy on y'all. So I'm not even telling you the conference. By the way, both the A's and the Giants get huge wins. This is what I'm talking about. Coach Eric Martins was on the show with us yesterday, and they go down to L.A., and they beat the brakes off the Dodgers. That was beautiful to watch. Jacob Wilson had an outstanding game. You can't even bet on him for AL Rookie of the Year. You essentially lose money. He's running away with that thing right now. He just got to stay healthy. Jacob Wilson, outstanding. You have Nick Kurtz hitting his first home run. They gave him the silent treatment. At one point, they beat down the Dodgers so bad, they had to do the position player thing. So dudes were just teeing off. There were 2 more home runs hit. So A's, they get a huge win in L.A. And look, everybody just kind of slots L.A. in. They've had some of the worst pitching luck that I've seen, and they still won the whole thing last season, but they've had terrible pitching luck this whole time. Jacob Wilson was 4 for 5 with 2 dingers. But I thought Jacob Wilson doesn't hit for power. 2 of them things, not even at Sutter Health Park. 4 RBIs, ribbies. I call them steaks because that's how you get paid.
Ribby eyes. You had Lawrence Butler. He goes 2 for 5 with 2 ribbies. Miguel Andujar, he had one of those home runs against a position player. So did J.J. Bleday. And like I said, Nick Kurtz gets his first home run and got some silent treatment. That was pretty fun to watch the team and their camaraderie. Giants also, they do their thing against the Diamondbacks. The Battle of I-80 is going to be ridiculous this weekend. I don't know that I'll make it down there. I think I'll wait for the Giants to come on up to Sacramento, to West Sacramento. But both teams doing their thing, and the A's sitting in that last wild card spot. This is outstanding. I mean, this is how you draw it up. And I've said it time and time again. When we're talking A's here, yes, we'll discuss the attendance. Yes, we'll discuss, some of the things outside the field. But you're dealing with somebody that is a baseball purist, and we're going to talk actual baseball when we talk about the A's, and they're playing some damn good baseball. Last but not least, I'm going to be a little bit petty, and I'll just say it like this, and I believe we're doing it in the 12 o'clock hour. Death, taxes, and De'Aaron Fox put in weird point guard battles. I cannot wait to have that discussion. 4 hours with you. It's going to be a good one. Don't move. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
My perfect day has sand, salt water, and friends. But my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can take me out of the moment. Now I'm all in with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi. Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, most people saw 90% clearer skin, and many were even 100% plaque-free at 4 months. Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin. And that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
Shout out to the 916. We have one person so far that guessed our trade candidate correctly. Nobody else has. Somebody said, a couple people actually have said Marcus Smart. That is incorrect.
He is a free agent.
He is a gritty point guard. Combo guard. Remember when he was supposed to be Dwayne Wade?
No, I don't. When was that?
You were actually, you probably don't because you were 4. So
You're saying like coming out of
Oh
college?
yeah, he was supposed to be the guy.
I know he was cooking at Oklahoma State. I just don't remember. If he were that, I don't think he would have gone 7th in the draft.
Well, I think that was the ceiling, and he did not get to the ceiling. He went in a different route. He was on a wall somewhere over there, not the ceiling. 916 nailed it though. It's not Marcus Smart, but I'll put it to you like this: you're very warm.
I'll give the 916 credit. They can sign Marcus Smart.
They could, but one person has guessed it correctly. All right, we've been going back and forth with where the Kings are, and this is where I want to go. Carmichael Dave yesterday, there was a back and forth on social media about the Kings and whether or not they are the worst team in sports, in the NBA, the worst situation in the NBA. And, some people were chiming in out of the somebody responded to Carmichael Dave. Carmichael Dave is saying, the Jazz are in a better spot. They got 8 first-rounders. The Pelicans have better assets. And then somebody says, I think out of all the teams in the NBA, maybe Charlotte and Washington are the only 2 teams I wouldn't swap situations with. And that resonated with me. And going back to somebody that I just watched on a panel, Mully and Ha, and they have a show, and I want you to guess who they are talking about, what team they are talking about, just to give you a little perspective on how tough things can be. Let's hear what they had to say.
There is not a reasonable direction out of the NBA purgatory they are in, and I would say it's closer to hell than purgatory. They just, they are stuck. They are absolutely stuck in the middle with very little out. And no, there's not a lot of hope. And yes, it's deflating. It's horribly deflating.
So unless you know that show, because I said the name and you know where they're located, the question that I'm asking all the listeners right now is, who do you think they're talking about? Because they could be talking about the Kings.
Yeah.
There are a lot of teams, or I guess a lot of people feel like there are not a lot of teams you could be talking about. The Heat, you could say, well, the Heat just have to stop being stubborn and just give up some of their assets, and they probably would be in a much better spot. Who is he talking about? Well, I won't make you wait too long. He's talking about the Chicago Bulls. He's talking about the Chicago Bulls and how they were exciting towards the end of the year. Josh Giddey has that crazy half-court shot, which kind of in a weird way, you could argue kept them from getting the number 1 pick, the 1.7 to 1.8 percentage. And then there was that coin flip that's not really a coin flip. And you had obviously the Mavericks winning it. The Mavericks get the first pick in the draft. So that was the day after the lottery and how really just downtrodden they felt about their situation. He goes on to talk about, they got young talent, and maybe we can wait for the young talent to develop, but really, we're stuck. What is a Kobe White at this point? They never moved Vucevic. I don't know why they didn't do that. And it brought perspective to me because the Bulls did not get brought up in the conversation with Carmichael Dave, right? It did not get brought up. People are talking about the bottom of the barrel. And the reality is, yes, things are tough right now for the Kings. But there are ways out. And to me, Scott Perry, why he's been brought on is because he believes that he knows the ways out. That doesn't mean that we're going to like them, but there are ways out. I saw something with Woj from years ago. And obviously Scott Perry wasn't the GM, but he was in that front office when they cleared out all that cap space before they got Jalen Brunson. One thing that DeMar DeRozan taught us that I think we need to keep in mind, right? Even though it may not have worked out, one thing that we need to keep in mind is that DeMar DeRozan did teach us that the Sacramento tax does work, right? It does work. Now, how much you want to pay as far as the Sacramento tax is concerned, that's a different conversation. But he showed us that the tax worked. They'll even pretend like they're home even if they're 7 hours away, if you pay them good enough.
And we know how it is. It's not even a Sacramento tax. It is a small market tax. That's the reality of the situation. So DeMar DeRozan showed us that if you believe in something and you're willing to pay a little bit more, guys will come. So you look at a Zach LaVine situation, and like I said, you might not like it because it's exactly what the Bulls were looking to do. But if Scott Perry wants to move a Zach LaVine and give away a low-level first-rounder, not for another star, not for a Trae Young, but for a bunch of expiring deals, you can look at it that way. And in 2026, then, you'd have a bunch of cap space, and you'd be able to use enough in that Sacramento tax to bring on some free agents that maybe think that they would enjoy playing with Domantas Sabonis. Or maybe it's Domantas Sabonis that gets moved. And obviously DeMar DeRozan is probably going to be a part of that. So there are ways out. There are ways out. 916 is chiming in saying they have Buzelis and Kobe White. I'd gladly take their situation. I'd probably agree. I would definitely agree with you because you know I like Matas Buzelis. You know I do. And they got Josh Giddey.
Yeah, but we have Domantas Sabonis.
We have Domantas Sabonis. So I hear you, 916, and this is from 670 The Score out there in Chicago. That's how they feel about the Bulls. So you can be doom and gloom, and I get all that. But make no mistake about it, there are ways. That's not to say that they're going to properly get out of it. I don't know. I hope they do. But there is a way out of it. There are multiple ways out of this, and there are ways out of this that don't necessarily require the full tank model. It's going to cost you one way or the other, but it might not cost you in the traditional way that we're thinking, oh, you take Zach LaVine and give us Trae. Maybe that doesn't happen. Maybe you get a bunch of expiring deals and you clear that cap space, and instead of the conversation being that Kyle and I have been having, oh, here's the last dance and then we make decisions. Maybe the conversation is, yeah, it's time to turn the lights off right now. It's time to turn the lights on in the club and find out who you were dancing next to. Maybe it's that time now. Maybe it's, you know what? I don't see this going in the direction. Let's eat what we need to eat. And, I don't want to hear, I know we just got our first rounders back. Low level, take Zach LaVine, give us some expiring. Devin Carter, you figure out who you are. Domantas Sabonis, we're paying you a hell of a lot of money. You can still do your thing. Devin Carter, figure out who you are. Keon, are you going to be able to be a point guard or not? Let's find out. Keegan Murray, take all the shots you want. Just go ahead. This season, we are going to be that caterpillar to then in 2026. And they're not crazy names in free agency, but either way, you have way more flexibility. So those are ways outside the box that I believe Scott Perry is going to look at this thing. And that is no disrespect to Zach LaVine. It could be Domas, right? It could be anything. But there are ways to pivot, right? I feel like we've been talking in a black and white world where it's tank or tweak, right? Retool or rebuild. What I am delivering to you today, it is a rebuild, but it's a longer play rebuild that can give you more than if you just try to rush this thing and, okay, whatever we get back for DeMar DeRozan, then we're going to rock and roll with that. And we're still going to be stuck with Zach LaVine and stuck with Domantas Sabonis. And I just mean that from a contract perspective. That Zach LaVine opt-in for $46 million, whatever, that's a tough pill to swallow.
49.
That's a tougher pill to swallow. That's a horse pill. That's tough. So there are a lot of different ways to do this thing. And until they prove, Scott Perry in particular, proves to me that he's not the man for the job, I'm going to hope he is. On the other side, we keep the conversation going. Do you think that the Kings have the worst situation, or are there teams that you'd pick over the Kings and their situation? 916-339-1140. Let's keep the conversation going. And also,
It's time to spin the block on Tyrese Haliburton and Jimmy Butler. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by Roseville Auto Mall.
I'm Tamara Berg in the KCRA 3 Weather Center. Welcome to your Wednesday. Getting out the door where you're probably going to want a jacket and the shades. Looking at mostly sunny skies as we dry out for this Wednesday. Temperatures a little warmer. Highs today will peak in the upper 70s to low 80s. Get the latest forecast on the KCRA 3 News and the KCRA 3 app.
The Roseville Auto Mall is Northern California's ultimate destination when looking for your next vehicle. Find the largest selection with 20 top brands. Take advantage of huge savings during our Memorial Day sales event going on now at the Roseville Auto Mall. Driven to be the best.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Progressive has great customer service, and it's easy to reach us because great and easy is the way to be. Like salads, great for you, and so easy you could put any group of veggies in a bowl and it's a salad. A full carrot with a head of cabbage, weird, but still a salad. One radish and a couple of green beans, also a salad. 14 blueberries, half an onion, and a sunchoke. Odd, yes, but an odd salad. So contact Progressive's customer service by phone, app, or online. It's great and easy, just like salad. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Carmichael Dave here for my good friends at American Energy. As a native Sacramentan, I can tell you, not that you need to know, that it might be nice right now, but turn the corner and oh my God, it's so hot. Yeah, you know, summer is coming. And my friends at American Energy want to make sure you are dialed with your AC unit. So how about this half off tune-up right now? It's a special going on, just $24.50 to get your air conditioner tuned up. A free diagnostic. And oh, by the way, if you need a new AC unit, up to $3,500 in rebates on qualifying system installations. That's right. They've been serving the greater Sacramento area since 1981. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. Give them a call, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990. Here's the song.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
This very minute at the Hagen Oaks Driving Range, you'll find fun gaming on all 52 Top Tracer screens where golfers and newbies enjoy the fun together. Compete against friends at the Hagen Oaks Driving Range or play 9 holes on the McKenzie putting course. Enjoy the summer-long free concert schedule and visit the Hangout Eats and Drinks opening late May for wood-fired pizzas, burgers, ice cream, and more. Or relax with a beverage. It's happening all summer long at the Hagen Oaks Driving Range, nightly until 2 a.m. Fulton Avenue at Business 80.
Sacramento's premier music festival, Country in the Park, is this weekend with Bailey Zimmerman.
Baby, go and leave me all the way.
Cole Wetzel. Plus Billy Currington, Nate Smith, Ernest, and more. Friday and Saturday, May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo. Don't miss pop-up stores, food trucks, line dancing, and more. Country in the Park, celebrating 25 years, May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo.
Sponsored by the California Army National Guard. Get tickets and more info at CITPFest.com.
Memorial Day savings explode at Matus Elk Grove Chevy. Save $12,500 off MSRP after rebates. Every new 2025 Silverado Turbo Max in stock. And Matus Chevy has similar savings on every new Silverado. One of the largest selections of new Silverado in the Sacramento area. $12,500 off new Silverado. Exclusively at the Matus Chevy Silverado Supercenter. Now that's big, huge. See them all at MatusChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Plus Training 2011 not available with special financing, lease, and some other offers.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140
on Sacktown Sports.
About 35 minutes ago, Scoop B, Brandon Scoop Robinson, says Giannis prefers to stay in the Eastern Conference. I tried to tell you, why would he go to the West? Okay, he also said he did want the whole tax thing came out. This stuff is so ridiculous that he
hasn't even requested a trade.
But you know what's so funny is the idea of Giannis is interested in not paying income tax. Aren't we all? Right? That report, if you say it out loud, is so funny because we all are. I mean, to this day, I click on one thing on Instagram And the next thing you know, I'm looking at 6-bed, 4-bedroom houses in an area of Texas I've never heard of that's $350,000. And, you know, they're finally out of my algorithm. They're probably going to pop back in because I said it out loud. But we all do it. We're all interested in saving money. That doesn't mean you're going to make a decision solely based off of that.
Just depends how much about your business you are.
That's true.
I will say, though, between the Supermax and the moving to California, Luka's probably losing like $100+ million.
Crazy.
Just because of being traded.
Right. But those two teams that...
It's not like chump change they're deciding about.
That Scoop B is mentioning the Raptors and the Nets. And the Nets, we've heard, you know, Giannis has dealings in New York, and Kyle and I were talking about it. Kyle reminded me about Giannis's connection to Masai Ujiri. He might be, if he pulls this off, yeah, I'm just going to pop up every 5 years, get a superstar, win a chip, and then stink again with Grady Dick.
You think the Raptors are going to be able to win a chip with Giannis?
I mean, I think that Giannis is leaving to try to win a chip.
Sure, but I just don't think the Raptors are anywhere close.
It wouldn't be on my list. I was the surprise one when we saw this during the break. I don't get it, but
is Giannis going to pair up with another superstar, like or star? Let's just say they're going to have to bring in two, I think, if they want to compete for a championship. Because like, would a Giannis Scotty Barnes team be better than the Knicks? I don't think so.
They keep trying to tell us. I'm not going to sit here and act like I watch a ton of Raptors basketball, but they keep trying to tell us Scotty Barnes is really good. They keep trying to tell us that he's really good. So
hey, they're a league pass team, and when we do the experiment of who are the worst situations in the NBA, we might hear from that team again.
There you go. I wanted to spin the block on this Jimmy Butler thing because I don't think I roasted him enough yesterday when the Warriors went down 3-1 and Jimmy Butler took 9 shots.
Honestly, I'm booing myself.
So we've gone back and forth, and I initially said, man, maybe I was wrong about Jimmy Butler just in totality. I don't think I was wrong about Jimmy Butler being on the Kings and that not being a fit, because I don't think it would have been a fit. You could move Jimmy Butler for DeMar DeRozan. Maybe they make the playoffs, and I guess that's all that matters. But I don't even know if they do that. If you swap them out right now, I really don't. And it's worked with the Warriors, but they are so connected to Steph Curry that nothing really else matters. And the problem with the Warriors is their real opportunity was Game 3. Jimmy gave you the game that he can give you. Jimmy gave you 33 points in Game 3, and you lost that game. And I think they all knew that that's the one we had to have. I believe Kuminga had 30 in that game. Jimmy had 33, and they lost. And Draymond even said, "You give up 100. We give up 117 without Steph Curry. We're not going to beat the Timberwolves." And that's what they gave up in Game 4. But as far as Jimmy Butler is concerned, I'm not disrespecting Jimmy Butler as a player. I think that tailbone, that butt is still pretty sore, and he's being asked to do a lot. What I'm saying is, and I know they weren't going to be able to trade for him without essentially promising this, the idea of paying him $55 million a year for the next 2 years is absurd. It's absurd. I don't care how you spin it. And I was joking about the Kings saying, okay, you can't pay Zach LaVine $45 million, and you can't pay Domantas Sabonis $45 million, and then you can't pay Trae Young $45 million because that big three isn't going to scare anybody. The Warriors are going to be paying Steph $50 million, Jimmy Butler, both of them upwards of $50 million. They're going to have to bring in somebody else. Okay, if you bring in Cam Johnson, do they win this series if Steph isn't out? Maybe they survive long enough for Game 6. Maybe.
Well, it's not even bringing in Cam Johnson. It's bringing in Cam Johnson while losing Kuminga.
Exactly.
So you're not even necessarily making an upgrade. Probably a slight one, but not enough to change the course of a series. I will say, though, the 2-year contract was a term and condition of getting Jimmy Butler in the first place.
I understand that, but that was my problem with getting Jimmy Butler.
So your argument is not the Jimmy Butler extension. It is the committing to 3 years of Jimmy Butler
at $55 million a year is crazy. It's crazy when we'll see what happens tonight. Maybe he'll go off and they can survive to game 6. I honestly don't even know that Steph will be ready for game 6. I think it's all a ploy.
So if you look at the landscape of the West next year, do you think the Warriors will be a play-in team as it's currently constructed?
Currently constructed.
Let's assume Giannis doesn't go to the West. Let's just say, most of the teams keep their superstars.
Based on how old they are, based on them being team AARP, based on the Spurs being better, I don't see how the Warriors are going to be better than a 5 seed.
Okay.
I don't.
And that's kind of the tough thing because, let's say they don't trade for Jimmy Butler and they end up with, their secondary options reportedly were Zach LaVine. Sure. They would have had to pay him $45 million a year. But, say they end up with one of those secondary options for Wiggins. Do you think they'd be able to dig themselves out of the hole? I think they would have been home by now if not for Jimmy Butler.
No, and you can make the argument that if Steph doesn't get injured, maybe they're actually dancing. That's how good they looked in game 1. They'd probably be going to the Western Conference Finals. And I don't know if they would have won the whole thing.
And they were 21-3 in the first however many games with Jimmy?
Yes, but I think what happened was they added Jimmy. I think they thought that this season was cooked, right? They added Jimmy, wanted to at least just get some playoff revenue, get on in there, and give themselves a chance. And they truly did. And they had an opportunity, and injuries suck, and that's just what it is. I think the reason Steph looks so despondent on the court, on the sidelines when he's just kind of hanging out, is because he knows this actually might have been our best opportunity.
Yeah, I think the question with the Warriors is not, can Jimmy Butler be a number 2 on a championship team? Because what's also weird about them is they're willing to just pay the luxury tax.
Sure, they don't care.
Yeah, so $55 million to them is different than $55 million to the Kings. But
yeah, but you start, and I don't know their situation, specifically, but you start messing around with those aprons, and that does affect you in the long run.
Sure, and they have no real draft picks.
None.
So they kind of have to find the Dennis Schroeders and the Gary Paytons of the world who fit into what they're doing.
Yeah.
I guess the bigger question is, Jimmy Butler is a symptom of the larger concern, which is, do you think a 38-year-old Stephen Curry can still be the best player on a team that even competes for, I'm not even saying wins a championship, just competes for a championship?
Yeah, I just think it looks like this the next 2 years. Because what you said, because of how much they're paying these dudes, you're left with a Guy Santos. You're left with people arguing that Pat Spencer needs more minutes, right? That's what you're left with. And on the other end, we know that the Warriors tricked it off, and we're going to talk about the draft and how, they took James Wiseman. They tricked that. The Kuminga thing, I don't know what to do with Kuminga. I think it was a bad fit based on what Kuminga needs. And the reality is, Moses Moody, he's only making $13 million. He signs that extension. Moses Moody has been unplayable. You can't have all these things happen and with Steph out. I think they had a puncher's chance to make it to game 6, but Brandon Pajemski, who Joe Lacob thinks is going to be an all-star, he has the worst shooting percentage on the volume, right? On the accepted volume since 2014 from the field as a player. 2014.
So, yeah, I never thought planning to develop around Pajemski, which was kind of their plan this summer, like when they were connected to Markkanen and stuff. That's the thing that rebuilding teams do. If you're we're committed to Pajemski and Kuminga and seeing what is going to happen.
And that's a great point. Let's think about it like this. 2 guys were allegedly untouchable in Lauri Markkanen talks. And if Lauri Markkanen is not your guy, fine. One guy has the worst shooting percentage since 2014 in the history of the NBA playoffs, right? That's Brandon Pajemski.
Yep.
The other guy got benched and is now picking up your pieces in Jonathan Kuminga. And honestly,
and is 1 foot out the door.
Is 1 foot out the door. You're probably going to lose him. And honestly, he looks good, and I'm happy for him. But the Wolves are probably thinking, go score 20, Kuminga. I don't care. We're trying to stay out of foul trouble. If all y'all got is Kuminga downhill drives and Jimmy Butler shooting 9 times and Buddy Hield being Buddy Hield.
Yeah.
Please, Kuminga, you want another layup, buddy?
You go. We have the best defense in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Go ahead. We're fine with that. Which
go score 30, Kuminga. Go ahead.
Which that's kind of the problem. I'll connect this back to the lottery just real quick. Everyone keeps making the point Cooper Flagg is a get out of jail free card. Get out of jail free card for Nico. And I think it's a get out of jail free card to not bottom completely out once this Anthony Davis and Kyrie and Clay thing expires.
Yeah.
But it's not going to get them to the championship, at least not in the next 4 years. That's kind of the thing with the Warriors is getting Jimmy Butler and paying him that money was a get out of jail free. They were the 10 seed in the West for the second year in a row. They had no way to build around Steph, and they got a former superstar, arguably still a superstar, who led the Heat to the championship twice, and they got him for a bargain, like absolute bottom of the barrel bargain. They gave up Kyle Anderson, Wiggins, and a first-round pick. And that get out of jail free card got them back to contention, but it's not going to get them to the mountaintop.
No, and you look at this season and you're just one tweak, one injury. A lot of these teams have had tweaks and injuries and they've survived. The Warriors can't. Now, obviously, when it's Steph, but yeah, to your larger point, you're basing this thing around a 38-year-old superstar. If you had hit on others, but you can't afford to pay others because of what you're paying your superstars, it's just a kind of push and pull type of thing. We've talked about who has a worse situation than the Sacramento Kings. How about PR? The Kings had some bad PR this season, but there is someone in the NBA that's got it worse. We'll tell you who it is when we return. Now in Style, Sacktown Sports.
It's Clean Car Month. Right now, get the Pro X1 Car Care Collection Wash Kit for just $19.99, exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Memorial Day celebration comes early at Elk Grove Honda. There's no need to wait for Memorial Day weekend to see, test drive, and purchase your brand new Elk Grove Honda. Civic hybrids, Accord hybrids, CRV hybrids, and Pilots, Passports, Odysseys, HRVs, Prologue EVs, and so much more. They're all available right now at attractive prices. Whether you're looking to own or lease and can't wait until Memorial Day, visit Elk Grove Honda in the Elk Grove Auto Mall. We have the right Honda at the right price.
I gotta get an Elk Grove Honda.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Have you noticed cracks in your drywall, chimney, or exterior walls? I hope not, because if you have, they could be indications that you've got a much bigger problem with your foundation. That's where Groundworks comes in. They can honestly assess your situation and create a plan to stabilize your foundation. Schedule your free inspection at groundworks.com/row. And while you're there, check out my latest dirty job. It's a good one.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
At SMUD, we power local business with incentives on clean energy equipment, tools to manage electricity usage and save money, tailored solutions from dedicated strategic account advisors, and 50% lower rates than neighboring utilities, all while doing more for the planet with clean energy solutions, savings, reliability, personalized service, clean energy, helping local businesses thrive. That's our clean power promise. Learn more at smud.org.
Play and win to take your loyalty to new heights at Sky River Casino. Join Sky River Rewards today for a chance to receive up to $2,500 in free play. Plus, you'll be in the know about upcoming special events and offers. Just minutes from Sacramento, right off Highway 99 in Elk Grove. Join in the fun with rewards that add up and up. Sky's the limit at Sky River Casino. Visit us to see how. Must be 21 or over. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
There are so many benefits of working with the Overhead Door Company of Sacramento. Now, we chose them to get our new garage doors, and we're so thrilled that we did. They look absolutely amazing. Jason Ross here. And for us, well, we just flat out needed new garage doors. But maybe you do as well, or maybe it's just repairs to your existing doors. Well, the Overhead Door Company of Sacramento can help you with that. It is also a great time of year because this is when homes go on the market. So is yours ready? Well, one thing, don't forget about that garage door, because a new garage door can increase the value of your home. First off, with Curb Appeal, a new modern or stylish garage door can improve the overall appearance of your house. Also, the return on investment. It is one of the most cost-effective upgrades to increase your home value. You can see for yourself. Just visit the showroom off Franklin Boulevard and ask about the Sacktown Sports Special. Overhead Door Company of Sacramento, the genuine, the original overhead door. Always look for the red ribbon logo.
Memorial Day is the unofficial beginning of summer and a time to reflect on the blessings we enjoy living in this country. Hi, I'm Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. At Naturewood's Memorial Day sale, you choose the offer. It's like 2 sales in one. Take 10% off regular prices or get 24 months of no-interest financing with payments on approved credit. Then you can choose from living rooms, sofas, sectionals, dining rooms, bedrooms, home offices, and so much more. Whether you're looking to lighten the mood in your living room, brighten up your bedroom, or tighten up your home office, you can shop and save big on the best selection of quality furniture, including Sacramento's largest selection of furniture made in the USA. Shop the area's best selection of quality furniture at Naturewood Home Furnishings, off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for that water wheel.
Live and local
It's Allen Stiles
on Sacktown Sports.
Gotta wait for the drop, of course. There we go. Taking you up to 2 p.m. And we are talking about Jim Harbaugh here. Who's got it better than us? Nobody. Sacramento. Who's got it worse than us? A couple people.
4 people.
4 people. Talking King situation. Also talking PR. And, you know, the Kings had some rough PR this past season with things leaking. And I would say the Kings, the Suns. But there's another team that we don't typically throw in there, specifically a player. They're not the only teams that fired their head coaches. Okay. One team just happens to still be playing. And that team also has arguably the best player in the NBA, and that's the Denver Nuggets. Russell Westbrook might have the worst PR in the NBA. And I don't really know why. He hasn't done anything. Obviously, he's a model citizen. He helps the community. Obviously, he's got ties. He's from LA. He's got ties out there, went to UCLA. And just the way he plays, I think his brashness just rubs people the wrong way. I think that MVP season, people didn't like the way he kind of hunted, even though they made the playoffs that season. That was a completely different Western Conference, by the way. But they made the playoffs that season. Some people thought that he was hunting a little bit. So what? So what? He still did it. But Russell Westbrook's got terrible PR. You know, he likes to, I think people feel, and I've even kind of roasted him for this, he can kind of do the rock the baby, and I think he thinks that there's a line between, yeah, I can say what I want or do what I want to other players, but fans shouldn't be a part of that. Don't disrespect my family name and call me Westbrook, and he hates stuff like that. So that just fires people up. And he's got some bad. I think that his stints in LA didn't help at all, and he just was a bad fit. He's actually played really well for the Nuggets, and then as soon as people start paying attention to the Nuggets, he has 2 of the worst consecutive game endings that you could cook up. And then the coach gets fired, Mike Malone. It's talked about, hey, was he supposed to play or not? I thought it was interesting that Calvin Booth wanted the young guns to play more, but here we are in the playoffs and Russell Westbrook still getting plenty of time, and the Nuggets are still playing. They are down and staring at elimination, but they get to go back to Denver, to that altitude, and keep this thing going. This came out yesterday. Okay. This came out yesterday from Ramona Shelburne, and it was pretty crazy timing, I would say, to see something like that break during the playoffs. All right. And this is an article that she wrote. It came out yesterday. And this is just a part of the article. Quote, minutes after the Nuggets lost game 2 of their first round series against the Clippers, Adelman had a problem. While he'd been at the post-game lectern, there'd been a heated discussion between Westbrook and Gordon in the locker room, multiple sources told ESPN. Gordon had challenged Westbrook about his attitude. Outside the locker room, one player relayed why Gordon might have done so. He's so immature, he said of Westbrook. A lot of people are mad at Ramona Shelburne. And we will get to Aaron Gordon's response that he had last night after their loss. He didn't even talk about the game to the media. But this is crazy, man. I could only imagine the crazy conversations that happen after losses. But this comes out about Russell Westbrook. Now, I don't know, beyond what's been written, what actually went down. But you can't tell me whatever went down was that much different than what happens in a lot of these locker rooms after they lost. I don't know that there's a vendetta against Russell Westbrook, but this seems kind of insane to me that during it's not as if they lost, right? Can you imagine? They didn't lose the first round. If they had lost the first round, and that did go 7, if they had lost the first round, I could see this coming out. Obviously, they've been struggling with something, and the Nuggets were worried about an early round exit, and here we are. But they're still playing. And I think when it came out, the series was tied with the team with the best record in the NBA. What are we doing here?
So while I will say Ramona Shelburne is totally within her journalistic integrity right to report on this story because it is factually correct. The title of the story, while it's still going on, is Why the Nuggets title hopes might hinge on the most volatile player in the NBA.
That's correct. And is he, though?
I think it's
he's over. They got him over Draymond.
It's not a fact, but it's also setting the tone for what the story is going to be. And maybe the Westbrook experience has been even crazier than we've been let on.
That's what. And even so, I do think it's crazy that this drops while you're 2-2 in the second round of the playoffs. That's nuts to me.
I don't know if it seems like it is a timely piece because the Nuggets are still alive, but the crux of the story is the Nuggets are kind of not jiving with Westbrook, which, we saw all of this when Michael Malone went down. We had, apologies, I can't remember his name, from Denver on the show, and he told us is like, if Westbrook doesn't lose those 2 games and doesn't do the press availability after, Malone probably still gets fired, but he doesn't get fired at the time that he did, right?
Yeah,
so
I think it was Jake Shapiro.
Yeah. And so if Westbrook is the final straw, then and he's also probably not coming back next year, then something has to be happening with Westbrook within that organization. That's not to say like, oh, this is a hit piece on Westbrook as they're about to play the most important game, but it does definitely set the tone for what it's going to be about, which is like the Nuggets are winning in spite of Russell Westbrook.
Exactly. So here's Aaron Gordon. He was asked, actually, he wasn't asked about this in particular, and he said, this is all I'm talking about today, because Aaron Gordon was mentioned in the piece and kind of going at it with Russ. Here it is.
Really, I don't feel like talking about the game. Earlier, I caught wind of an article that came out about Russell Westbrook in our locker room after Game 2, which was a completely arbitrary article and pointless and unnecessary by whoever it was that put it out. Russ is one of the most talented basketball players that has ever played the game of basketball. And quite frankly, he's been great for us all year long. We're brothers. We spend more time with our team than we do with our family. Of course, there's going to be disagreements, but that conversation wasn't for anybody other than our own group and the internal workings of our locker room.
That was Aaron Gordon. And look, man, I am, and I got respect for Ramona Shelburne. Obviously, she's one of the best in the game. And, it's funny because I told you sometimes I can be Kevin Durant of the media world, and I'll look at stuff. And, there was somebody on our DeMar DeRozan segment from yesterday who said, Kyle had more realistic pieces, or more realistic places. Allen sounded like he wanted to be more clickbaity, which I do feel like the whole clickbaity word is getting overused now, right? It's just kind of an excuse if you don't like what somebody says, or if it's a strong opinion, whatever it is. Oh, you're you're just clickbaity. You're just looking for clicks, right? Which, I mean, ultimately, a lot of people are, because that's how you get paid. I mean, it's all part of it. Clicks, listens, views. It is what it is, right? If you are authentic in what you feel and what you believe, and it also generates clicks, then that's what it is. If you are not authentic, which is what people will claim some media members, including myself, whoever it is, to be, then that's what bugs people. Ramona Shelburne, I do believe her to be authentic in wanting to get this story out, but not to kind of pass the buck here, but it's clearly, I don't see how it's not clickbaity.
I'm also kind of just penciling through the story because I hadn't read it before while we've been on the air. And reading the story, it kind of seems... So Ramona Shelburne is really connected, plugged in with the Lakers, right? Mm-hmm. And remember, Russell Westbrook is probably going to go down as the worst Laker ever. Like, in terms of what the trade could have been, how terrible that year went.
Based on how he was... Yes.
And she makes this point near the end. I'm just going to read it. Talking about Westbrook, talking about, if you want to go a long way in the playoffs, I think you got to be honest with each other. And then Ramona responds to that with, these are not things Westbrook has said before, anywhere. In many ways, his superpower is his kryptonite, that he never changes, no matter the pressure of the situation. He sneers at the idea of compromise. He nearly played himself out of the league rather than accept a bench role with the Lakers. His former agent even cut ties with him over the Lakers situation.
Kyle, how is this not a hit piece?
I'll get there in a second. Quote, I can't see another team doing it. One team source said of the Nuggets signing Westbrook after unceremonious endings with his previous 4 teams. Quote, but I never thought we would do it. And then the last line of the story, what is clear, though, is that they had no other choice, and they wouldn't have gotten this far without him.
You can't save all that with one final line.
Hey, the one line at the end.
The one line is the protector.
Yeah.
So Russ is supposed to be cool with Ramona?
No, it's a hit piece. But it is a fair hit piece. There's nothing in there that you can't say is not true.
Yeah, no, and I think some things might be a little, it's up to your discretion and it's up to your opinion. You can disagree with the article.
There is a tone to the story.
Yes.
That is
how you're supposed to feel about it after reading the story.
Yes. How you're supposed to look at Russell Westbrook's career at the post-Oklahoma City era.
Back to Kings talk. Our trade target of the day. Some of you guessed it right. Okay, about 4 or 5 of you. A lot of you are wrong. Kings trade target of the day, a 2-time champ, a gritty point guard, defense first. But is there enough offense for that price tag? Let's discuss. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sacktown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sacktown Sports app.
Keeping your engines healthy means protecting them in season and out. Experts trust Stable to do that. And third-party testing confirms it. Stable is the industry leader in preventing fuel-related issues, no matter if you use it in your car, boat, or outdoor power equipment. In season or out, at every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable.
Progressive knows road trips without your pet can be tough.
Hi, this is Next Stop Dog Boarding.
Hi, it's Scott again. How's Squeaks doing? You can tell if he's stressed by his eyebrows. Oh, and his breathing should sound like this.
Scott, Squeaks is exactly the same as last time you called.
Okay, let's talk in 20 to see if anything's changed.
With Progressive, your pet is covered up to $1,000 in vet bills in case of a car accident. So next time, you can take your pet with you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Coverage for dogs and cats is included with the purchase of collision coverage and subject to policy terms.
Come check out Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room with the most variety of table games in the region in a safe and friendly environment. Plenty of well-lit parking available, conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. And remember, Capital Casino has the best food, the best service, and the best action. 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento. For more information, log on to capital-casino.com and please gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
It's your captain speaking. To the passenger with the mirror fast soft shoes, smart move.
No way am I letting travel constipation ruin this trip.
Can't blame you. Mirafast works fast, but without the harsh side effects.
Since I'm such a smart traveler, can I move to first class?
No. Close the curtain, girl.
From the makers of Miralax, new Mirafast soft chews work naturally with your body in as little as 30 minutes to give you a comfortable go on the go. Look for Mirafast at Walmart today. Use as directed for occasional constipation. Contains magnesium hydroxide.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Hereeth my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover is accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times?
You're playing the lute. Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
What's up? We're talking to Chad Hoblet of Hoblet Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Chad, what's going on for Chrysler's Employee Pricing Plus event?
We all love employee perks, and nothing is better than getting the employee price. But we are going even further. Right now, you can save up to $16,000 off MSRP on new 2025 Ram 1500 Crew Cabs. Plus, with over 500 new Rams available, your perfect truck is waiting at Hoblet.
It's nice getting all the employee benefits without the work.
But with Hoblet, it's not just employee pricing. We are a 5th generation family-owned dealer, and when you buy at Hoblet, you become part of the family. Plus, you get to experience our award-winning customer service. And remember to check out our Hoblet Certified Pre-Owned Supercenter with nearly 200 vehicles available and over 50 under $20,000.
Search, select, and save through their whole inventory at HobletDodge.com. Unbeatable prices, unbeatable selection. Nobody beats Hoblet, period.
$16,000 total net savings on select new 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie after $3,500 factory rebates and $12,500 dealer discount, including employee pricing for all. Rebates may include $500 on the job upfit for eligible upfit. 5% net savings. Sample VIN 93559. See dealer for details.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
This is Sacktown Sports 1140. You're home for Kings Talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
$11 on the dot, which means it is time for our trade target of the day. A lot of you guessed, Allen. It's Marcus Smart. No, it's not. Two-time champ, gritty point guard. There's only one person it could be. And that person is Drew with a J, Holiday.
I should have had the holiday sound that they play on the morning show ready.
Drew Holiday. Couple of you got it right. Good on you. Drew Holiday is our trade target of the day. My initial thoughts, well, we'll get to those in a second. Let's hear from Mark Spears. And basically, the Celtics are bracing for this thing to kind of implode. And obviously, Jason Tatum being out doesn't help. Mark Spears talks more about the Texas teams, but it's still, again, those are maybe teams going after the bigger fish. Who's going to be left? Maybe it's Drew. Here it is.
You know, even before Tatum's injury in the first round, there was an NBA executive from another team that told me that he expected major change with the Celtics no matter what happened this season. And I certainly expect such to be the case when you have a payroll where you have 5 players making at least $28 million or more, 2 superstars that are making $50 million or more. And I'll tell you what, the 2 teams I'm keeping an eye on for a couple of these guys perhaps is one is the Houston Rockets. Why? Ime Udoka's there. They've been certainly rumored to wanting to upgrade their roster, and he knows these guys, and they probably would be attracted to returning to play with him. And then another team is the San Antonio Spurs as well. They got the number 2 pick, and I'm told that the Spurs are quite happy with the talent that's available at number 2, but they're going to explore potentially trades as well.
That was Mark Spears, and yeah, obviously he's talking about those Texas teams who now everybody wants. They're just the hottest teams. How did the Kings get into that situation? Well, the Spurs obviously drafted a once in a lifetime type player.
Also haven't made the playoffs in 7 years.
That's right, and that's part of it. And you get lucky, you get lucky, you get lucky.
And then Houston, who didn't make the playoffs for 5 years.
Sure, which are still tiny streaks compared to the Kings, by the way.
Yes. And they also didn't draft Marvin Bagley.
That's also part of it.
Or Nick Stauskas or Ben McLemore.
We get it.
Thomas Robinson.
We get it. Drew Holiday, the pluses and minuses, obviously, we know Drew Holiday is a dog. Defensively, he was the upgrade from, what was it, Drew Bledsoe?
Eric Bledsoe.
Or Eric Bledsoe. I always do that. Eric Bledsoe in Milwaukee. They won a championship. They thought that they needed to upgrade from Drew Holiday, and they did with Dame Lillard, and that didn't end up working out. It got reworked. Drew finds himself in Boston, and they needed a point guard. They had moved on from, Marcus Smart. And Marcus Smart, to me, is more of a combo guy. They really needed a true point guard, even though Jason Tatum does handle the rock a lot. He finds himself in Boston, gets his second championship. And this is a really tough one. Really, really tough one. Drew Holiday. So this is what we're looking at. 62 games. And I think that what's happening with Drew Holiday, or what has happened with Drew Holiday, is a little bit similar to what happened with Draymond when Kevin Durant joined the Warriors. When your role changes, you stop, just like your biceps, your triceps, any type of muscle, you stop working it. You got to go back to that old fastball, and you might not have it. Draymond, once the Warriors acquired Kevin Durant, you don't need to score, Draymond. And then Kevin Durant left, and Draymond kind of forgot how to score, right? And he'll have kind of spurts from here and there. You look at Drew Holiday, his career, he averaged 15.8 points per game, 4.2 rebounds, 6.2 assists, 46% from the field, 37% from three, and 78% from free throw. And that was when, hey, Drew, you're an offensive guy. You're an all-around guy. You're a two-way guy. He gets to the Celtics. Hey, well, we got Jaylen Brown. We got Jason Tatum. We got Derek White. We got Porzingis when he's available. Drew, you're the fourth or fifth option. You're getting grenades in the corner. So this past season, he played 62 games. He dealt with some injuries this game, 11.1 points per game. And if you watch a game, you're kind of wondering how in the world did he even get to 11, to be completely honest with you.
Just chucking threes.
At the end of shot clocks, 11.1 points per game, 4.3 rebounds per game, 3.9 assists. His career was at 6.2. He's at 3.9 assists per game, 44% from the field, 35% from three. He did shoot 90% from the line. And it's not that I don't like Drew Holiday, because I do. My problem is Drew Holiday just got paid $30 million. Next season at 35 years old, he'll get paid $32.4 million. And when I started the show, I said, he's not as old as James Harden. Well, he's not, but he's close.
He's been in the league, 17 years now?
$32.4 million next season. After that, $34.8 million. After that, at 37 years old, a player option for $37.2 million.
Yeah, he has 3 years, 104 left.
That is tough sledding. So somebody on the text line said, this is one of those classics. Someone on the text line said, he'd be perfect in Sacramento. I love it. I love it too. But I don't love that price for Drew Holiday.
Yeah, he is a bad contract, but I understand why the Celtics gave him the contract that they did. Because they were just coming off of a champion, or they were in the middle of a championship run, if I remember correctly, when they extended him. And he is the reason why they were finally able to get over the hump, right? I will give the Celtics credit for the rest of time for having a team that went to the NBA Finals in 2022, and then Steph Curry broke their heart, was one game away from the finals the next year, and decided we're going to trade 4 of our 8 core players and retool this thing. And they were immediately rewarded with a championship. They got rid of Grant Williams, Marcus Smart. There's a couple more. I'm forgetting Malcolm Brogdon and Time Lord, and flipped that for Drew Holiday and Porzingis. They gave up a couple draft picks on the way, but they gave up 4 core players and picks to end up building a champion, and I will give them that credit forever. But they probably shouldn't have re-signed Drew Holiday to the contract that he did. And just practically speaking, because Porzingis only has 1 year left on his deal, and because Peyton Pritchard and Derek White are on really good contracts, I think when they say someone's got to move, I think Drew Holiday and Sam Hauser are probably the two most likely to be on the move.
Yeah, and, to me, that Drew Holiday contract kind of reads as a vibes contract. Vibes are great. We'll figure it out later. It was literally a we'll figure it out later contract, and it's later now. And now they're needing to figure it out. So the argument I would have to entertain Drew Holiday is an argument that I can't even definitively say is or isn't going to happen. The argument would be, okay, do we think that Drew Holiday is enough of a chameleon to where his scoring has been down because he was on the Celtics, and next season, and look at this right here, points, 11.1 this past season. In the championship season, 12.5 points. In Milwaukee, at 32 years old, he was an all-star. 19.3, 18.3, 17.7, 19.1, 21.2, 19% or 19 points. If that Drew Holiday is still dormant somewhere like a volcano, okay. I mean, out of all the different gambles I think the Kings can take, I don't know if this is a smarter gamble, because to me it's high price, high risk, and I don't know how good the reward is, because I don't personally know that 19 or even 17 points per game Drew Holiday. Now, does he have to score that every day? I'm not saying that. Does that even have to be his average? I don't even know if 15 point per game Drew Holiday is left.
No, what you're getting is a top 10 defender in the league. Cross your fingers that his body doesn't break down, right?
That too.
That's what you're hoping for, is that he's still he's last 5 years, 8th in defensive player of the year, 8th in defensive player of the year, 7th in defensive player of the year, 6th in defensive player of the year. Like, you're hoping you get one of the best defensive guards in the NBA, but you're not getting him for cheap. And you're certainly taking the risk that could go bad with his injury history. I'll also say that All-Star season in 2023, in hindsight, little strange, because if you think back to that season, one, it's the Eastern Conference, and we're struggling to find 12 Eastern Conference All-Stars. But two, remember that was on the Bucks, and the Bucks were the number 1 seed. So they were like, we got to put two Bucks in the All-Star game.
Got to.
And then remember that number 1 seed, with Drew Holiday playing as a number 2, lost in the first round against the Miami Heat. So, and obviously Giannis didn't play some of the games. They still would have lost in 5. But even that 2023 season is like, if he's your number 2, you're probably getting bounced in the first round.
No, and obviously you had the Chris Middleton situation too. So, 2-3 type deal. And that's a couple years ago now, so I can't do it. I wouldn't do it right now. Let's discuss how the Kings could do it, and maybe that will pull me back. I just think, going back to how the Kings can get out of this situation, these long contracts, that's what people don't. 2 years left, okay. And even Levine, at least, he's got that player option, and in 2 years you could just be done with it if it didn't work out. But more than 2 years, I don't even. Scott Perry's thinking, look at what happened to Monty McNair. I don't even know if I'll have a job in 3 years. So I can't be, adding guys that are going to be closer to 40 than 30. But let's go through it. Let's see who could be available and who could get moved for the Kings to pull this off. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Time to check out Capital Casino, conveniently located at 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento.
Water. It's more than just a word. It's morning routines, backyard memories, and everything in between. At Roseville Environmental Utilities, we're not just managing water, we're protecting it. Smart planning, conservation, innovation. We make every drop count for today and tomorrow. Let's keep the promise together. Find out how you can help at roseville.ca.us/water promise. Roseville Environmental Utilities. Water. It's not just a word, it's our promise.
Power Business Technology is proud to be a 100% independent, locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Local ownership cuts out the red tape, allowing ourselves to never be too busy to personally answer the call when our clients need us. Recognized for excellence in service execution, training, and customer service, we're proud to be named a Toshiba ProMasters Elite dealer since 2021. Contact us today for all your business printing needs at 844-POWER-BZ. That's 844-769-3729, or visit us at powercopiers.com.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
A little bit of news coming out of the NBA, and it's going to be like this all offseason, but Shams says that the Mavericks are looking for a point guard. And I've always thought that Kyrie was more of a number 2 than a number 1, and he essentially was a number 2 with Luka. I know Cooper Flagg can handle the rock, but he's not a point guard. He needs somebody to kind of set him up. You take a look. I mean, I don't think they're going to – I think they got higher sights set than Dennis Schroeder, but, you know, sounds like the Mavericks are in the market for a point guard. They're also in the market for moving on from Daniel Gafford. You know, they've been running that double center situation, and Mike A. Scotto says, quote, Gafford is a trade candidate to monitor should he not agree to an extension with Dallas. A 26-year-old center will want a pay raise, and he deserves it. I just added that in. The Mavericks already have Davis on a max contract and a 21-year-old center in Derek Lively, who is a year away from being extension eligible. So they're kind of in a spot right there. I guess they're assuming Gafford's going to turn it down in hopes of getting the big payday. They're going to say, okay, well, that's going to be with somebody else.
Lakers.
That's what, yes. I think it was Tim McMahon or somebody brought up that the Lakers might be able to bring him in, and they need that lob threat. 26 years old, that aligns with Luka.
That's also the guy that
Luka.
Luka specifically asked them to trade for him.
Yeah. So the Mavericks are wheeling and dealing and trying to make some things happen as they are trying to – we talk about PR. I didn't even mention when we talked about Russell Westbrook and the Kings. Mavericks had some terrible PR. And
why? What happened?
I guess it's – is it better now? Did it just go away?
The PR did not get better. The Mavericks fans, I don't think the PR among Mavericks fans, I don't know about nationally. Like for us, whatever, you know, we'll see. For Mavericks fans, the healing is not going to start until Nico Harrison is gone.
No.
I don't think it's going to. I don't think the PR is going to get better as long as Nico is there.
Winning solves everything. As we just saw the pictures of Nicolas Cage and Christian Bale for the Madden movie, just win, baby.
Sure.
You win, and all is forgiven.
But let's go back to the thing we've been saying for months. Do you believe Anthony Davis can be the number 1 on a championship team?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying do it. I'm saying do it, and it will get fixed.
Right, but that's not going to happen. So therefore,
we don't know that. We do not know that.
Do you think Anthony Davis can be the number 1 on a championship team?
I don't, but I think if you're not going to have a pure number 1, and I don't know if they're going to keep Cooper Flagg or not, but if you have high level, this is what the Kings tried to do, but an even better version, right? If you have Anthony, you don't have a pure quote unquote number 1, but you have Anthony Davis, who's top 15, Kyrie, who's top 20. I don't know if they're going to keep Cooper or not. They go get somebody else. That is a high level. We don't have a pure number 1. And the only way you can not have a pure number 1 and still win is if you have a closer. And Kyrie, yes, coming back from that ACL, he just released a video during his recovery. Looks like it's going as instructed or as scheduled. You have a closer in Kyrie.
Yes, they do. And I think they're going to be competitive, but think of it this way. Getting the 1.8% chance of Cooper Flagg adds value back to the trade that is regarded as the Babe Ruth trade of modern times. Yeah. So they recouped value on possibly the worst trade in NBA history.
And the Lakers got to hold on now. And we're going to get back to this trade candidate. The Lakers got to win too. Lakers got to win too. If the Lakers don't win a damn thing, that does change how this looks.
No, I won't say the Lakers have to win.
Whoever with Luka got to win something.
That's it. Luka's got to win.
Whatever team Luka's wearing.
Yeah, Luka might not be a Laker after next year, which, by the way, is the risk the Lakers took. I still think everyone's going to be unhappy at the end of this, but Mavericks fans are going to be a little bit happier if Cooper Flagg becomes a 4-time All-Star.
916 says, why wouldn't Kyrie be the number one? Yeah, we talked a little bit about this yesterday. I think Kyrie was the number one for a lot of this season. Let's not forget, Kyrie has dealt with injuries for a very long time. He had a really nice, healthy stretch in Dallas, but I don't know that Kyrie's body, I think maybe Kyrie himself could be a number one, but we just watched Kyrie as a number one and his body ended up breaking down. So, and even just, he's coming back from ACL. I wouldn't bank on it. How about that? But I do think he'll be the de facto number one. I think if whatever point guard they get, right, and I don't know how big of a fish they're trying to get, but whatever point guard they get, if their point guard is not all-star level, you're playing the Mavericks, you're circling Kyrie. So that, to me, that's your number one.
Yeah, I think it's a 1A, 1B.
Yes.
I think it's probably Anthony Davis 1A, Kyrie 1B, but at the end of games, you probably want Kyrie with the ball in his hands.
Okay, Kyle, what's this trade to acquire Drew Holiday that I don't want to do, but you're going to try to convince me to do?
Yeah, we're gonna try and figure out some way to land Drew Holiday. So if the Celtics are going to move Drew Holiday, right, you have to get something that helps Boston. So what does Boston need right now? They need long-term cap flexibility and a replacement for Drew Holiday. Mm-hmm. They probably need, but you might dare say, some found money to potentially make up for the loss and all the money they're paying to everyone else, which means to make this happen and long-term flexibility, they can decide what to do. We probably are going to have to part with
God blessing me with this.
Or
I really just be chilling for real.
And I think they're probably going to say, we're trying to win right now. So instead of taking the project of
God blessing me with this body,
they're probably going to go with
I really just be chilling for real.
Keon Ellis.
I'm so out on this already.
Okay. I'm just laying out that's the situation here.
Yes.
Is that
yes.
If the Celtics are going to give away Drew Holiday, they're going to need found money, and that will help balance the books because Keon will be a free agent after next year. They can decide if they want to pay Keon whatever Keon is worth and put him with Pritchard and Tatum comes back. They can figure out what they want to do after that. But it's essentially Keon Ellis and then to make the money work, DeMar DeRozan. But they would probably have to reroute DeMar DeRozan unless the Celtics say, hey, we just lost Jason Tatum, so you know what we need? The worst version of Jason Tatum.
Well, I think it would be cool for DeMar. They don't want Jason. I don't think. I don't know.
They don't want to replace Jason Tatum with DeRozan.
Right.
For a season. Obviously for 1 year.
That would get him into the playoffs. That would be cool.
Sure. I just... Yeah, so we're going to have to
get to shoot him and Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, we're going to have to reroute DeRozan for also on that team that takes 1,000 3-pointers in a season. There's no, so we're going to have to reroute DeRozan for a shooter making about $20 million to one of those 4 teams we outlined yesterday that actually wants DeRozan. So the situation I've got here is Sacramento gets Drew Holiday. The Magic get DeMar DeRozan and one of the Hornets second rounders from the Kings. And then Boston gets Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Keon Ellis, Jet Howard, a Kings first round pick, and potentially the other Charlotte second round pick that the Kings have. So
no thanks. But hey, every day when we fire up a trade target, some are gonna hit, some are gonna miss. And that's just my opinion.
You just really like Keon Ellis too.
And if I'm losing Keon Ellis, I better be losing him for something at least younger than Drew Holiday. It could be as expensive, but with a higher ceiling than Drew Holiday at this point in time.
Yeah, this would leave the Kings with, again, you just subtract DeRozan and Keon and add Drew Holiday. That would leave them with Drew Holiday, Zach LaVine, Keegan, Malik Monk, Sabonis, and then coming off the bench, you would have Valanciunas and a backup point guard and Jake LaRavia.
And I honestly, again, it's just what you don't have to do as much of. Drew Holiday, who's at 6 assists for his career, he's not even at 4 anymore. So even playmaking wise, I don't know if I'm willing to take the bet, a $30 million bet on him turning back the clock and doing things that he hasn't done in a couple years at an older age and less healthy.
I guess the only point I would make is that if they've decided we don't want to pay Keon Ellis $60 million when he hits free agency, his value is probably never going to be higher than that 1 year, $2.3 million. But again, that would be a big pivot they would be making.
And that's not about Keon Ellis being untouchable. That's about, I don't want to move him in this situation.
Yes.
So, all right. When we return, the worst situations in the NBA, where do the Kings fall? Might be better than you think. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by Roseville Auto Mall.
I'm Tamara Berg in the KCRA 3 Weather Center. Welcome to your Wednesday. Getting out the door where you're probably going to want a jacket and the shades. Looking at mostly sunny skies as we dry out for this Wednesday. Temperatures a little warmer. Highs today will peak in the upper 70s to low 80s. Get the latest forecast on the KCRA 3 News and the KCRA 3 app.
The Roseville Auto Mall is Northern California's ultimate destination when looking for your next vehicle. Find the largest selection with 20 top brands. Take advantage of huge savings during our Memorial Day sales event going on now at the Roseville Auto Mall. Driven to be the best.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Is your concrete sinking? Whether it's your driveway, sidewalk, or patio, those uneven surfaces are not just ugly, they're dangerous. That's where Groundworks comes in. They use state-of-the-art concrete lifting solutions to prevent tripping hazards, and they're the best at what they do. Schedule your free inspection at groundworks.com/row. And while you're there, check out my latest dirty job. It's a good one.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
Hagen Oaks wants to be your go-to total golf game fitter. Try the TrackMan experience, the very best technology to fit your metal woods and irons. The new cutting-edge putter fitting studio with its $30,000 worth of technology is ready for your fitting. Hagen Oaks will help you find the best putter for your game. Hagen Oaks offers more technology, more choices, and more service. Schedule your fitting at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio by calling 916-808-2531, 808-2531 for more.
Whitey here for Napoleon Grills, reminding you that when buying a new grill, every detail matters. While supplies last, you'll receive a $149 gift with purchase on every new Napoleon Prestige stainless steel grill. The kit even includes a pizza lover starter kit and much more. And now up to $79 off Napoleon Rogue models. Napoleon grills are built different, built better, built to last, with a lifetime warranty and premium steel that boasts amazing quality. Visit Green Acres Nursery today for your best selection of Napoleon grills and accessories.
Hagen Oaks wants to be your go-to total golf game fitter. Try the TrackMan experience, the very best technology to fit your metal woods and irons. The new cutting-edge putter fitting studio with its $30,000 worth of technology is ready for your fitting. Hagen Oaks will help you find the best putter for your game. Hagen Oaks offers more technology, more choices, and more service. Schedule your fitting at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio by calling 916-808-2531, 808-2531 for more.
Sacramento's premier music festival, Country in the Park, is this weekend with Bailey Zimmerman. Plus Billy Currington, Nate Smith, Ernest, and more. Friday and Saturday, May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo. Don't miss pop-up stores, food trucks, line dancing, and more. Country in the Park, celebrating 25 years, May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo.
Sponsored by the California Army National Guard. Get tickets and more info at CITPFest.com.
Catch all the action at Sky River Casino. Enjoy over 80 table games, more than 2,100 slot machines, and a thrilling high-limit room. Plus, with 18 elevated restaurants, bars, and lounge destinations, and Sky River rewards that add up and up. There's something for everyone. Just minutes from Sacramento, right off Highway 99 in Elk Grove. Join in the fun and experience new heights. Sky's the limit at Sky River Casino. Visit skyriver.com today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Meta Chevy sends you $8,000 off MSRP on new 2025 half-ton Silverado LT and RST after rebates.
Year-end savings on now with $8,000 off new Silverados at MetaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
See dealer for details.
At Big O Tires, now through Memorial Day, get $80 to $120 instant savings on 4 select in-stock Cooper, Nexen, Nitto, or Sumitomo brand tires with installation purchase. Disposal fees extra, not good with other offers. See your locally owned Big O Tires store for pricing.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140.
on Sacktown Sports.
Was having a conversation with a texter about California Classic, whether it's going to be at G1C this season. We don't know. At least not yet. We have not been told, or it hasn't come out, I should say. But when it does come out, we will definitely let everybody know. Obviously, this is our job. Everyone running around, and you might miss an announcement, something like that. We are here to keep an eye on all things Sacramento Kings as the flagship year home of the Beam team. But we have not heard anything yet. And when we hear something, we will for sure let you know. We touched on this to start the show. And there are a couple different ways that we are approaching this. But there were conversations last night after the draft lottery and the Kings not being able to hold on to their pick, it conveying to the Hawks, which at least it's over now. It is what it is. And whether or not the Kings, with their current situation, are in the worst position in the NBA. Kyle has cooked up a metric for this, but really, you can go back and forth with whether or not you have a star, whether it really just comes down to, do you have young talent? Do you have assets, or do you have a superstar right now? Right. And I think the reason a lot of people, and we're going to try to make you feel better here, a little bit better. I think the reason a lot of people don't feel good about it is because off the top of my head, if you were to ask me, do the Kings have any of those three, I would say that they are 0 for 3, right? They don't have a superstar. I like Domantas Sabonis, but he's not a superstar. I don't even know if Donovan Mitchell's a superstar. So if I can't call Donovan Mitchell a superstar, that is no disrespect to Domantas Sabonis.
You're not making the Sabonis point. You're making there's only 8 of those in the league.
Sure. They don't have a superstar. I guess they do have assets right now. They do, as far as the first rounders are concerned. So they're not 0 for 3. Right now they're 1 for 2. And do they have young talent? They have young players, but when I think young talent, I think we're all talking about what the Thunder have, what the Rockets have, what the Spurs have, right? And I think outside of Stephon Castle, I think it even dries up a little bit for the Spurs. But they're essentially 1 for 3, and the one that they have, most teams do have that. They don't want to lose it. Everybody gets, you have a certain amount of picks, and then you end up wheeling and dealing them for certain deals. So they have the one thing that everybody has, right? The other two, where you acquire those based on being good at your job, they do not have that. And that's why the dudes that were in charge are not in Sacramento anymore. They're not in Sacramento anymore. So I understand why people feel like the Kings are in a bad spot. They definitely could be in a better spot. That's for sure. Are they the worst spot in the NBA, though? I don't know that I'm willing to say that. Are there 2 teams worse? And obviously this is, the literally the meme where you have the guy standing on the podium, the three Olympians or whoever standing on the podium, and the dude in the dude all the way in 10th place or whatever is popping the champagne. That's what it feels like. But when this stuff gets a little out of hand and it turns into, no, this is the worst. It's not the worst, and we do have some exit strategies. So Kyle, what are the kind of breakdowns that you came up with to make Kings fans feel better about their situation?
Well, they could be better or worse depending on where you stand on the debate.
Sure.
So, yeah, the you mentioned the metrics that we're working with here. One is your star player. 2 is depth. You could also say young depth if that's something that's, something you value. And then the third one is future draft capital. I think those are 3 good gauges of the situation you're in. And we're not, Dave made the point like the Jazz have Danny Ainge. Okay, we're just talking about the situations themselves, not who's running the teams, not who's making the decisions, all the stuff like that, or contracts of the players that they have. So we can debate it later. But just purely based on those metrics, we'll start with number 1, star player. Who are the teams who do not have a star player better than Domantas Sabonis? And the data we're pulling from is our Ringer Top 100 players list that was updated at the end of the regular season.
Okay, I like that.
There are 12 teams that do not have a player better than Domantas Sabonis, according to the Ringer's rankings. Atlanta, Miami, Brooklyn, Philadelphia, Joel Embiid's a weird one, Bulls, Hornets, Wizards, Raptors, all East teams, by the way, which tells me Sabonis might be a top 10 player in the East. Then in the West, the Jazz, the Rockets, the Pelicans, and the Blazers do not have a player as good as Sabonis, according to the Ringer's player rankings. Right. So the second one, depth, young depth, whatever you want to call it. I took of those 12 teams, how many of them have more total top 100 players than the Sacramento Kings on the Ringer's top 100 list? By the way, the Kings have 3. It's Sabonis, LaVine, and DeRozan.
Right.
3 teams have more than the Kings. The Rockets have 6. The Pelicans have 4. The Hawks have 3, but they didn't include Risache, so I feel like the Hawks checked that box of they should be ahead of the Kings. Tied with the Kings at 3 are the 76ers, the Raptors, the Bulls, and the Blazers. Them and the Kings all have 3 top 100 players of varying ages and skills, but 3 is just the barometer we're using. And the last one is future draft picks. Of the 9 teams that we still have left on the board, which ones have better future draft picks than the Sacramento Kings? And for that, I went to that Bobby Marks draft pick ranking that we've been talking about, which is a couple weeks ago, Bobby Marks ranked every team in the league's future draft picks for the next 7 years and who has the best and worst situations. And the only teams better than the Kings of our 9 are Brooklyn, Utah, Charlotte, and Washington.
Right.
Now you can debate whether or not those teams will be better or worse than the Kings. That's up to us to debate. Are the Kings in a better spot than the Hornets, despite the Hornets having better draft picks? Are they in a better spot than the Wizards, despite the Wizards having better draft picks? There's room for debate there. But definitively, we can conclude there are 5 teams who are either in just as bad of a situation or worse than the Sacramento Kings. So, yay for the Kings. There are 5 teams that are either just as screwed or worse than the Kings.
And those teams are?
Equally as bad, the Philadelphia 76ers, the Toronto Raptors, the Chicago Bulls, and the Portland Trail Blazers. The only one team I can definitively say is worse off than the Sacramento Kings, without question, the Miami Heat. That is the only team I can definitively conclude 100% Miami is in a worse spot right now than the Kings.
Based on your method.
Based on the data that we have put together here, the only team based on this data I can conclude is 100% worse off than the Kings is the Miami Heat.
Which is so crazy to me, and I appreciate you kind of putting that together. And I think it's a fine method, and I think it's a fine equation and a fine metric. I just don't think it's the Miami Heat.
Is that because you think they have a better path to acquire a superstar?
I think it also comes having assets that you're not. It also comes down to what you're willing to do and not willing to do. The Miami Heat have a path. They're just they're just being stubborn and refusing to take that path. Now, look, I don't know that Jovic, I know we kind of joke because if you sound like Jokic, you're just going to have good value. You got Jovic, you got Jokic, you got Topic. I don't know that Nikola Jovic is really, he's 6'10". He's just one of these young guards. I think offensively, he's got a ways to go. But again, being 6'10" and 21, kind of a Denny Abdia type guy, even though Denny's way better offensively, I think he's got value. But to be fair, if Bam is your dude, Bam is your dude. I don't know that Bam is, is he overrated, underrated, properly rated? I think now I think he was overrated. I don't think he is anymore. Tyler Hero is confusing as hell.
Yeah.
Right. And we can't move Tyler Hero. Okay, don't move him. So I think it comes down to your point, Bam is good. Tyler Hero is now 25 and going to be 20. Are you going to be elite or not?
And is 2 years away from free agency.
Right. Andrew Wiggins is Andrew Wiggins. Terry Rozier forgot how to shoot a basketball. Duncan Robinson was good for like 2 years, and I think he's about to be off his deal. Jaime Jaquez is another untouchable for them.
He had a rough year, though.
He did. So I think that you might be on to something because
they also have not a lot of draft flexibility.
Right. And the way I would look at it would be the same way I'm looking at the big three conversation with the Kings. Domantas Sabonis, Trae Young, and Zach LaVine is not a scary big three. Based on what the Heat have and why the reports are that they're all in on Kevin Durant. So at that point, goodbye, fine. Jaime Jaquez can go for KD. You look at it and you say, okay, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, and KD and let's answer this question on the other side. Out of those two big threes, the one that we created with the Kings and the one that we created with the Heat, what is scarier? And honestly, scarier versus are either of them contending? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Time to check out Capital Casino, conveniently located at 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento.
William is one of millions of Americans who uses GoodRx to save on the cost of their prescriptions.
My oldest daughter, Camilla, 2 days old, she had to have open heart surgery. All of a sudden, she's on 5 different medications. It adds up at the end of the month. Me and the pharmacist got so tight. She said, GoodRx save you a lot of money. Saving that extra $200-300 a month. We're able to do all these extra activities, so it puts less stress on our household, and it puts less stress on our pockets.
Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com and start saving today. GoodRx user compensated for their time. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Keeping your engines healthy means protecting them in season and out. Experts trust Stable to do that, and third-party testing confirms it. Stable is the industry leader in preventing fuel-related issues, no matter if you use it in your car, boat, or outdoor power equipment. In season or out, at every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable.
Get ready for Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th. Get the highest value for your RV guaranteed during the biggest RV trade event of the year. Shop the best RV deals in America with new RVs starting as low as $92 a month. Get ready for the holiday weekend with up to 45% off grills and 25% off product installation. Plus, we'll have free hats, free propane refills, free food, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the incredible Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th at your local Camping World.
See for full details and displays. Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
For a lot of us, saving up a down payment can be the biggest barrier to buying a home.
So Rocket Mortgage is lowering down payments to 1% for eligible home buyers with One Plus. Because everyone deserves their shot at the American dream. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to get a head start on your starter home.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
What's up? We're talking to Chad Hoblet of Hoblet Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. What's going on, Chad, for Chrysler's Employee Pricing Plus event?
If you've been struggling to find the right Ram heavy duty that fits within your budget, the search is over with Hoblet's Employee Pricing Plus event, where we give you the employee price and then take even more off. Right now, save up to 10% off MSRP on brand new 2025 Ram heavy duty 2500s and 3500s. Don't miss your chance to save big like the Employee of the Month at Hoblet Dodge.
And you're always one of the top Ram truck dealers in the entire nation.
It's true, and I think it boils down to our huge selection of hard-to-find Ram heavy duties with over 300 available and our award-winning customer service.
Search, select, and save through their whole inventory at HobletDodge.com.
10% total net savings on select new 2025 Ram 3500 Laramie after 1,500 factory rebates and 9,075 dealer discount, including employee pricing for all. Rebates include 500 on the job upfit. Must show eligible upfit. And Hoblet discount between 7,100 and 9,075, depending on trim level, for a total of 10% off MSRP. Aid of this net savings, sample VIN 02043. See dealer for details.
Live and local
It's Allen Stiles
on Sacktown Sports.
Dealing with some texts about Kyle's metric. Yeah, I thought it was, I liked it. It's not perfect. There is no perfect metric. People just create metrics these days. But I honestly, I disagreed with the Heat, and that leads us here because we have two big threes, right? And I think I know which way it's going to go, but you have two big threes. You're paying Bam. I think the other thing is you are paying Bam a little bit less. That you're paying one big three is cheaper. So let's keep that in mind. So you have one big three that we created, and if you're just now joining us, Kyle created a metric based on the Ringer's top 100, based on Bobby Marks and his draft assets, what's available, what's not available, to essentially come up with which teams are in a worse position than the Kings, and the only team based on Kyle's metric that it was definitively worse than the Sacramento Kings is the Miami Heat, which does not sound correct. But based on the top 100 players that the Ringer has listed out, how many players they even have on the list, period, and their draft asset ranking from Bobby Marks, it led Kyle to the Miami Heat. So I asked the question, okay, well, the Miami Heat, if they finally say goodbye to Jaime Jaquez and Nikola Jovic, and that money is not even close to working, by the way, but let's just play the game.
And Wiggins.
Yes, you get Wiggins at $28 million. You have Jaime Jaquez because they don't have great draft assets.
And throw in Duncan Robinson.
Right, and you find a way to get KD, and on his expiring contract, maybe he extends. So which big three scares you more? You're walking into these buildings, and we know in Miami they're not showing up until halfway through the game anyway. So here are the two big threes, right? Battle for the worst situation, but we're trying to make it better.
The worst situation that's not tanking.
Yes, the best rebuild available. Retool, excuse me. First big three is Trae Young, DeMontis Sabonis, and Zach LaVine, which is expensive. The second big three is Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, and Kevin Durant, which is slightly less expensive because you're paying Bam a little less. You're definitely paying Tyler Hero about $10 million less. And then obviously KD is making a little bit more than the three guys on the Kings. So a decent bit less expensive, around 7 to 10 million less than the Kings. So keep that in mind too. Which big three scares you more? 916-339-1140. Kyle, let's start with you.
I think both teams are going to be the 8 seed in their respective conferences, but
I think so. That's a tough way to do it because I do think that the Heat would be better than the 8 in the East, but I do think the Kings would be the 8 in the West.
I think if you put the Kings in the East in this hypothetical situation, I think these two are playing in the 7-8 game.
No,
that's my hypothesis. You sleep on the Eastern again. Maybe Milwaukee just falls completely off
on the
table.
what?
The Eastern Conference.
The what? No, they're better than they were. Sure,
but you know who else is probably going to be a top 6 next year? Orlando.
Yeah, that's fine.
So then you've got Boston, Cleveland.
No. I don't know about Boston.
You think Boston's not going to make the playoffs?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, but besides the point, I think Sacramento is better. Let's not go third rail. Sacramento is a better big three than the Kevin Durant, Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo.
Are they?
I would say Tyler Hero is a younger Zach LaVine at this point. I would say Sabonis is a better Adebayo.
Sabonis is better than Adebayo.
Yeah, no question. But Adebayo doesn't play the same game.
Sabonis is better than Adebayo.
Yeah.
Tyler Hero and Zach LaVine.
I'm saying Tyler Hero's younger and about the same production as Zach LaVine. Those two were fighting for the last.
This is tough.
Tyler Hero and Zach LaVine were 12 and 13 for the last All-Star spots in the East this year. I think Hero's better in the long run because of age and cost, but right now they're basically the same player. Then you go Sabonis, Adebayo, and KD and Trae Young, and how else you put the rest together.
You said that out loud, and come on, Kyle. It's the Heat. You can say it.
I will also make the point again.
No. It's the Heat.
I'm going to say both of them are better than the Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett big three.
Why are we talking about this?
Because that situation kind of sucks also, but the Raptors have draft picks. I would say Miami. I would say Sacramento's probably the 7 seed. Miami's probably the 8 seed, and they're matching up in the first play-in in a hypothetical situation.
And I get it. Look, KD, I understand he's going to be 47 by the time he gets to Miami.
I should also note, we're just doing the big threes, right? I trust Spoelstra to get more out of the others. They're going to find some undrafted dude from Lafayette that's going to be
he played soccer in college.
Yeah. Right. We're just doing the big threes right now. I trust Miami's going to find another Davion Mitchell or Max Strus or Gabe Vincent that's just going to put up 20 points a game or something.
I saw this, and I really just wonder as we get to a little bit of draft talk, or I should say lottery talk. I saw this, and it really just makes me wonder, why are we like this? And when I say we, I mean humans. Okay, so Jeff Goodman, he's been a college basketball analyst for a very, very long time. And I love what Jeff Goodman typically has to say when it comes to college hoops because, there are a ton of people talking NBA, not as many people talking college hoops. So Jeff Goodman on the Field of 68 show, right, which is obviously about college basketball, Jeff Goodman said when talking about Cooper Flagg, quote, "The easiest number 1 selection we've seen in a long time," close quote. Was Wemby 2 years ago? The easiest number 1 selection we've seen in a long time. Earlier, weren't we discussing that it might not even be months ago? Wasn't there a conversation that it might not be Cooper Flagg? And now all of a sudden, the easiest number 1 we've seen in a long time. Wembanyama was 2 years ago. Zion Williamson was however many years ago. Why are we like this?
So is Goodman's argument that the gap between Wembanyama and at the time Scoot Henderson,
which is insane. If you go that route, that's insane.
Is the gap? I will say people thought Scoot Henderson was going to be a thing, and then they realized.
Well, yes,
but then they realized you can't be 6'0" and play in the NBA unless you're Jalen Brunson and you're willing to destroy your body to do it.
There's a crazy, crazy statement. The easiest pick. I also saw somebody say, And we touched on this yesterday, that the Mavericks might even be a bad fit for Cooper Flagg, just from the aspect of they're all older, right? They're the timeline. We talk about timelines all the time. That timeline doesn't make any sense. It's just going to be, they're either going to win a championship or not. We talked about this yesterday, and then it's going to be Cooper Flagg and Derek Lively. And they're not going to have high draft picks or whatever their draft situation is, because they'll be in contention.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what their Mavericks plan. I think they might be bluffing, to be honest, as far as we're not going to move him, because the timelines don't add up.
No, but that's the advantage, is that if Cooper Flagg is this Wembanyama type player where he's like immediately an all-star level player, which isn't a guarantee, but he's just the closest thing you're going to find to like that like if he's Jalen Williams on the Thunder right away,
that's fair.
The Mavericks get him at $11 million a year, and he's playing like a max player. So that's the advantage they're getting by having Cooper. But it only works if Cooper is,
if he's a hit.
Well, not just a hit immediately.
Yes.
In the way, like, I'm not saying he has to be Luka, but like Luka at age 20 was averaging 28 points a game.
And is there going to be, obviously, you're going to have Kyrie. The reports are that they're looking for a point guard, so Kyrie can slot back into that too. And by the way, it's also based on when Kyrie is not coming back to start the year, based on when he hurt his ACL against the Kings. And you have Anthony Davis. So they want to bring in a point guard to take some of that burden off of Kyrie. I mean, I guess that's the good thing. He's going to get plenty of, he's going to be needed pretty quickly on the Mavericks when the next season starts.
How do you think Klay Thompson feels about all this?
I think he's much happier this week than he was last week.
Yeah, but he's just like lost in the shuffle. Is he gonna be coming off the bench?
Klay was mad about $5 million, whatever. He was disrespected by the Warriors, so he wanted to prove a point, and he might come off the bench. He probably should.
Well, he will once Kyrie comes back, because then it's going to be a point guard, Kyrie, Cooper Flagg, PJ Washington, Anthony Davis, Derek Lively. Like, they just have so many guys.
12 o'clock hour coming up next, and Anthony's going to be joining us behind the glass. Kyle has a meeting to go to that I should be at, but I'm doing this show. And when we return, should this year be treated as the last dance, or should the lights turn on right now for the Sacramento Kings? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by.
If you need to hire, it seems like the whole process can be exhausting. You search resumes, wait for the right candidates to apply, set up initial interviews. It's a lot of time and work. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates for your job the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro is super easy to use. You simply pick a time, and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day. Best of all, you save time and energy.
Try Zip Intro for free right now at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. Once again, go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Allen Stiles here with your Sacktown Sports injury update, brought to you by Downtown LA Law Group. Zach Geloff suffered a setback as he was pulled from his rehab assignment with AAA Las Vegas due to a stress reaction in his ribs that occurred while taking a swing. There's no timetable for his return. Ken Waldichuk, out with that left elbow sprain, threw all 30 of his pitches in a side session last week and will throw another session this week and is targeting a return during the All-Star break. This injury report was brought to you by Downtown LA Law Group.
Hey, I'm Allen Stiles. Have an injury? Call Downtown. Downtown LA Law Group, an injury law firm, has many happy clients in Sacramento and the surrounding areas who have called Downtown. Get paid for your injuries from slip and falls or auto accidents. One of their most recent settlements was $1.5 million for a motorcycle accident. Have you had an auto accident? Call Downtown. Text injury help to 40222. That's injury help to 40222 and visit them at calldowntown.com.
Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Here's Frank LaRosa.
Typically, a high handicapper carries an index of 20 or more. Golf Monthly's Barry Plummer offers 4 tips if you're tired of that high handicap. First, choose the right equipment. Invest in a 5-wood, which is more forgiving than a 3-wood or 3 hybrid. It's a much better option for getting the ball in the air. Second, play for bogey on par 5s. Break the longer holes into manageable chunks, perhaps aiming to hit the green with 4 easy swings while also navigating away from the trouble along the way. 3, leave the sand wedge in the bag for chipping. Up and down percentages are almost twice as good when chipping a 9-iron over a sand wedge, and 3.5 times better with the putter. And finally, stop leaving your putts short. A 20 handicapper leaves 55% of their missed putts short of the hole. Give yourself a chance with every attempt and don't leave another putt short. Try these simple tips and let's see whether your handicap starts to come down. And have some fun out there. That'll help too. That's your Golf to Go. I'm Frank LaRosa. Memorial Day is the unofficial beginning of summer and a time to reflect on the blessings we enjoy living in this country. Hi, I'm Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. At Naturewood's Memorial Day sale, you choose the offer. It's like 2 sales in one. Take 10% off regular prices or get 24 months of no-interest financing with payments on approved credit. Then you can choose from living rooms, sofas, sectionals, dining rooms, bedrooms, home offices, and so much more. Whether you're looking to lighten the mood in your living room, brighten up your bedroom, or tighten up your home office, you can shop and save big on the best selection of quality furniture, including Sacramento's largest selection of furniture made in the USA. Shop the area's best selection of quality furniture at Naturewood Home Furnishings. Off Highway 50 at Hazel, look for that water wheel.
Louis C.K. in an all-new show, Ridiculous 2025 Tour.
When I was younger, you had to go in the bank. Remember that? You had to go inside the bank. Now you look in the bank, you're like, what are those people doing in there? Are they cleaning? The money's out here.
Friday and Saturday, June 13th and 14th, 8 p.m., the venue at Thunder Valley. For tickets, visit thundervalleyresort.com. Louis C.K. live on stage.
KHTK HD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Sacktown Sports, 1140.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140.
on Sacktown Sports.
12 o'clock on the dot. And the question is, should the clock strike midnight for what the Kings have going on? The theme of the show today has been, and if you're just now joining us, thank you for joining us. Anthony joins us behind the glass. Kyle will be back in the 1 o'clock hour. The theme of today has been, there are ways out, right? You ever in a maze or, a game like that, or Tetris, and you're trying to figure out how you can beat the level, how you figure out how you can get out of there. I love Maze Runner, by the way, one of my favorite series. How can the Kings figure this out? And when you look at what Scott Perry has done in the past, Scott Perry has been a part of organizations, namely the Knicks, where they have been able to clear cap space in hopes of acquiring free agents. Now, we know that obviously going to New York is not the same as going to Sacramento, but DeMar DeRozan did teach us something that, and if you didn't already know this, well, now you do, that people love money. And as much as DeMar DeRozan wants to come home, even if it's 7 hours away, the reality is the Sacramento Kings paid DeMar just a little bit more than what he thought he was going to get on the open market. And that was reported early A lot of people kind of glossed over it because we wanted to believe that DeMar DeRozan wanted to be in Sacramento. Now, I think that DeMar DeRozan did enjoy or has enjoyed Sacramento, don't get me wrong, but he in part enjoyed it because of the fact that he was getting paid a little bit more than what he thought he was going to get paid. He thought it was going to be competitive, don't get me wrong, Mike Brown, De'Aaron Fox, but it was all of those things. How about that? It was a combination of those things. So we know that when you have the cap space and when you have the money, they will come. If you build it, they will come. And to have a Scott Perry, even in Sacramento, to have a Scott Perry who you brought in to be that salesman, to sell Sacramento, to sell what they're working on and what they're building, maybe, and I think this is part of the reason he got hired, to bring in players and be able to work situations that the Kings weren't able to do so because Monty McNair did not have those relationships. Maybe even Wes Wilcox had more of those relationships than Monty McNair. So you look at this from the perspective of, all right, you have Zach LaVine on this contract, and then he can opt in, right? You look at the money that he is owed. You look at the money that Domantas Sabonis is owed and his contract situation. And obviously, both of those guys are making a lot of money. Domantas Sabonis, he's got 3 more years left on his deal. 43.6 owed next season. After that, 46.7. After that, 49.9. In 2027, 2028, he'll be just 31 at that point in time. So we continue to look at this under the guise of, all right, we need to add to this. And it's not that people don't want to blow it up, right? I know a lot of fans do, but okay, they're not going to blow it up. Let's see if we can add to those 2 guys. They're making a lot of money, whatever the case may be. But you can look at it a different way, right? And you can sit there and diagnose who you think you can win with that you're paying a lot of money to, whether that be Zach LaVine or Domantas Sabonis. And Domantas Sabonis, I think you can move and you wouldn't have to attach a pick or anything like that. That's disrespectful. Domantas Sabonis, you get a pretty good haul for. I know that there were reports that Domantas Sabonis and his value might not be exactly what everybody thinks because he is getting paid a pretty penny. But I don't think, and maybe that's the case, but I don't think it's anything crazy like, please take Domantas Sabonis. That's crazy talk, right? So you can either move Domantas Sabonis or move Zach LaVine, and instead of trying to bring in other supplemental players, and you can do this in a couple ways, right? You can, in a way, have your cake and eat it too. It's just under the direction of expiring contracts. So you can decide, all right, Domantas Sabonis, he's not the one. Zach LaVine, okay, he's not the one. Now, Zach LaVine might be a little bit different, even though he's on a shorter deal, depending on that team. And maybe you find a team. Look, I know people have things to say, about the Charlotte Hornets, whoever it is. If you find a team that is, okay, we'll handle Zach and he's going to opt in. So we know at longest, Zach has 2 years, right? And our plan, and he can chuck and be a little bit exciting for us out here in Charlotte or Washington or whatever it is. And then in 2 years, we're going to have a ton of cap space. But in the meantime, the Kings decide, okay, instead of going Zach LaVine, here, take Zach LaVine and a pick for Trae Young, and now we're with another contract. The Kings could say, here, you could take Zach LaVine, take a low-level first-rounder, whatever the case may be. Zach LaVine's now off the books, right? Now Keegan Murray's going to get more shots. And the DeMar DeRozan thing, you can do the same thing with DeMar DeRozan. You don't have to get back a ready-now player. It's probably easier because of DeMar's money situation. So maybe we say you get your, I don't know, whoever it is as you move on from DeMar, but you move on from one of the big contracts in Domantas Sabonis and Zach LaVine. And again, this is why I would say this is the lights come on at the club at 1:30 in the morning and you find out who you've been dancing with all night long. And they find out too. And hopefully you think, okay, We're still good here, right? The lights turned on. Or do you, as we've kind of talked about on this show, make this season the last dance because you're dealing with Keegan Murray, his situation. Zach LaVine has that opt. I don't know that. I don't think that he would opt out because I don't think anybody else is going to pay him that type of money, but you could figure out how to move on from him. Obviously, DeMar DeRozan is going to be gone probably before this season. Malik Monk would have 1 year less on his deal. So that could be the great exodus. But you could do it now, and you could do it in the way of, all right, we're going to move on from Zach LaVine, low-level first rounder. Not that we want to do it, but maybe they make us do it. And in return, we're going to get two or three expiring contracts, respectable players, but they're expiring. We get and that doesn't mean that you can't re-sign them. We get to continue to contend. But if it doesn't work out and they stink, now your draft is even better. If it does work out and they're, still pretty good, they go off the books. You make a decision whether or not you want to re-sign them or not, and you rock and roll from there. So you have to think outside the box on some of this stuff, and I don't think that I've been doing that myself. I'm not getting paid the salary that Scott Perry is getting paid, not to pocket watch, but I would imagine that Scott Perry, when they sit there and they say, we're examining everything, a lot of us have just been operating in two worlds where it's, okay, you rebuild and you blow this whole thing up, and rebuilds don't necessarily happen immediately anyway. Or you retool, you're stuck with Zach LaVine's contract, you still have Domantas Sabonis' contract, so we're just going to get whatever we get for DeMar DeRozan, and Trey Lyles is coming off the books, we think. Trey Lyles is coming off the books, so we're just going to be a little bit better. Come on home, Dennis Schroeder and John Collins, and let's go from there. I don't think it has to be that. Now, Dennis Schroeder could even be I think he's on a 1 year deal, so he's bounced around so much. Dennis Schroeder could even be one of those guys that expires. But you have different opportunities that I don't know that everybody is thinking about. Now, do you want to give up a first rounder, even if it's a low first rounder? No. I just talked about how it felt like everybody else got to go into Foot Locker and get new shoes during the draft lottery, and the Kings didn't get to go get new shoes. They were not able to get new shoes. They still got the same shoes on. So I do hate that feeling. But the freedom that you would have with the guy like Scott Perry and the flexibility and the connections that he has, you might be able to do some things that you couldn't have done in the past. Monty McNair, with that type of cap space, I don't know if that moves anyone. Allen in Sacramento, what are we talking about? But Scott Perry, with that type of cap space, with that type of flexibility, I have no choice but to think the best, because this is their guy now. This is the Kings guy now. And we've learned that even DeMar DeRozan was willing to come to Sacramento at the right price, and the belief that we are building something. And when you look at the Domantas Sabonis situation and how he's viewed throughout the league, and Malik Monk, how he's viewed throughout the league, that stuff matters, right? There's somebody out there that believes, and I believe Trae Young has a player option. I was looking at the stuff this morning, and Trae Young, he might have another extra year. I don't think it's the 2026, or he would maybe opt in. But there are going to be names available, and the hope is that Scott Perry, with the autonomy that we believe him to have, should be able to make some of this stuff work. That's the hope right now. 916-339-1140. Am I crazy? Am I crazy? Or could the Kings maybe do some things that they couldn't have done in the past? I'm going to be a little bit petty when we return, because an old friend may find himself in a familiar situation, and that old friend is down there by the Riverwalk. We'll tell you what's going on when we return. Now on South Sacktown Sports.
Time to check out Capital Casino, conveniently located at 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by Elk Grove Honda. I'm Tamara Berg in the KCRA 3 Weather Center. Welcome to your Wednesday. Looking at sunshine and temperatures on the rise this afternoon. Highs will be peaking in the upper 70s to low 80s across the valley with light winds, and overnight those will drop back into the lower 50s. Get the latest forecast on the KCRA 3 News and the KCRA 3 app.
Memorial Day celebration comes early at Elk Grove Honda. See, test drive, and purchase your brand new Elk Grove Honda at attractive prices right now. Visit Elk Grove Honda in the Elk Grove Auto Mall. We have the right Honda at the right price.
I gotta get an Elk Grove Honda.
Get ready for Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th. Get the highest value for your RV guaranteed during the biggest RV trade event of the year. Shop the best RV deals in America with new RVs starting as low as $92 a month. Get ready for the holiday weekend with up to 45% off grills and 25% off product installation. Plus, we'll have free hats, free propane refills, free food, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the incredible Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th at your local Camping World.
Full details and disclaimers.
Whoa, it's you, the Capital One Bank guy.
That's what they call me.
Mind if I get a selfie?
Yeah, sure thing. Say no fees or minimums on your Capital One checking account.
Wow, that's a keeper. So, where are you heading?
I'm off to spread the good news that Capital One helps people keep more money in their wallet with no overdraft fees.
Oh, you're the best Capital One Bank guy.
Hey, mind if I get a selfie?
Sure.
Say, Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
Nine 339-1140. You know, while I was at the summit at the conference, they talked about with interviews, trigger words, right? If you're interviewing someone, and this is more not really in my situation when we have, but it could be, right? A beat writer. Like, let's say we had Ramona Shelburne on, and, you know, she's getting kind of some backlash on the Russell Westbrook article. By the way, if I said Westbrook, that would be a trigger word for Russell Westbrook if I was interviewing him, to give you an example. But if I said something that from that article that Ramona thought was a trigger, or I was trying to attack her in some way, the conference said, stay away from trigger words. And I think that as I'm reading some of these texts come in from the 209, I said Dennis Schroeder, and that was a trigger word for some Kings fans. Allen, be better. Disappointed in that comment. That's the old Kings losing ways. Well, you can be a better listener as well, because the segment was about expiring contracts. Now, Dennis Schroeder is a free agent, but I really don't know what his market would be. It's not about Dennis Schroeder. The whole thing was about expiring deals and giving the Kings more flexibility from a cap perspective, because Scott Perry has those connections. Speaking of connections, and speaking of connections that are no longer with us, I saw this. I'm going to be petty. You can laugh with me. You can be upset with me as well for bringing it up, but I did find it at the very least ironic. So I am, just hanging out, scrolling through social media as I tend to do, trying to find stuff for the show. And Spurs Culture has a post of Dylan Harper. And it says, this kid has the it factor, right? So Dylan Harper, and I looked it up in a mock draft today. There are a lot of mock drafts saying that Dylan Harper, who is a 6'7" guard, combo guard, but he can really play make. He's not that he's more of that shooting guard than point guard. He's just big, right? A lot of times they'll call big point guards combo guard, and he's got good size on him. So Spurs Culture posted that, right? Just highlights, and he's just cooking. By the way, Ace Bailey, and nobody's talking about Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper both being on Rutgers, and they stunk. And I know Ben Simmons on LSU, but they two of them 2 top picks and they stunk. There's only
College is weird. College is weird.
That's what people keep saying. There's only 5 dudes on the court. But anyway, Will, this guy's name is Will. He has a huge following in Houston, maybe the biggest Houston Rockets show out down there. Bordeaux and Will, that's the show, and he goes by the name of Bias Houston. He's got 50,000 followers on Twitter, and he posts something that went quite viral. And he says, "Will I get booed off the app if I say I'd rather build around Dylan Harper and Wemby than De'Aaron Fox and Wemby?" Somebody responds, "Harper can't play with Fox." And Will says, "I think it's kind of a nasty fit if I'm being real." So here we are. As Stephen A., by the way, Stephen A. on First Take said, "We need to give a lot of props to De'Aaron Fox forcing his way out of Sacramento to insisting on being in San Antonio. That's a brilliant move on his part because Sacramento's on a fast track to nowhere." That's okay. I just want to let y'all know Stephen A. did talk about Sacramento, and now we can check back in a year when he does again, and it'll probably be in a negative light. And we can agree with it or not. But somehow, some way, death, taxes, and De'Aaron Fox point guard trade rumors. He can't get away with it. He cannot get away from trade rumors because this is just one guy's opinion. But the mocks that I'm seeing, they got Stephon Castle, who's untouchable, rookie of the year.
They didn't even mention Stephon Castle.
Stephon Castle, who truly is a combo guard, right? Or more of a shooting guard, I should say. You have Stephon Castle. All the mock drafts are saying you're taking Dylan Harper. So you have 2 guards who are big body guards, by the way. And you have De'Aaron Fox. He got the wrist taken care of. It's all fine and good. I don't know. People know how I feel about De'Aaron Fox. I think he's best fitted as a number 3 on the championship team. And I think that's where he'll end up. But kind of joked, it really depends on what they're in line. They're supposed to offer it. He said he'll accept it if they offer him an extension. And I'm not trying to be petty. I mean, in a way I am. But could you imagine if they moved De'Aaron Fox?
It's just deja vu all over.
Is there any? And somebody said even if they don't, just a PTSD. Dylan Harper, like I said, he's a point guard. Combo, but he's a point guard.
Yeah. 6'7" is crazy. But
could we live in a world where De'Aaron Fox does get traded? And would he have any type of leverage in this move? Would they just feel bad? Hey, De'Aaron, we'll work with you because I'm sorry. Then you'd have to find a team again. I'm not trying to talk down on De'Aaron. Then you'd have to find a team to offer him an extension, and it had to be a team that it doesn't have to be a team that De'Aaron would like, but he would like that.
Yeah, I imagine he'd give another team out. I'm sure the Spurs would entertain that, but I don't know if that would happen. I imagine they would let them play together for a little bit, like they did with Haliburton.
That's true.
Here. Like you just let it kind of see,
and you
what's gonna happen.
start seeing Dylan Harper cook, and you start seeing Stephon Castle, who's untouchable, doing his thing. And you're thinking, oh, my goodness.
And who's closing out games.
And who's closing out games. And you got Wemby. And then what do you say? Oh, man, we might need another wing. We might need a big. Who's available? Okay, well, who's the oldest in the room? De'Aaron Fox. Who has trouble spacing the floor? De'Aaron Fox. I'm just saying. And I don't want it to happen. But I came across this and I thought this would be crazy though.
I could see the Spurs before any of this happening just trading the pick. I feel like that's way more of a Spurs move.
But I think to this guy's point, essentially, it would be funny. And I saw some of this stuff, to be honest, I saw some of this stuff this season with Stephon Castle and how they, just being higher on Stephon Castle than De'Aaron Fox. And why Stephon Castle in part was untouchable in a De'Aaron Fox deal was because a lot of people thought Stephon Castle has a higher ceiling than De'Aaron Fox. And obviously when you're young and you haven't played in the league very long, that's always going to be the case. But you could have 2 guys or 2 guards, and then you have De'Aaron Fox, and I'm sure it could work. I mean, at 6'7", you could make him a wing, right?
Yeah, but judging by the way that people are talking about him, he's a point guard. It's kind of like a Cade situation, I guess. But
just don't take a point. Just don't do it. You can't do it.
Trade the pick.
But we already have people, and obviously that dude from Houston, he's not a Spurs fan, but we already have people talking about, is that the perfect thing? Roby on the Sack Chat. Stiles hating on Fox so bad right now. I am. I'm just having some fun. It ain't going to happen, but if it did, I mean, it would at the very least be a little ironic, right? Right? All right. Let's hear from Adam Silver. He has some things to say about the future relocation of the NBA. We get to that when we return. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
You never know what you might hear when listening to a Sacramento Kings game.
Out of Keegan, going for another triple. Man, is he feeling it. Keegan, can he do it? Yes, there's number 11, Keegan Murray. Keegan steps back. He just knocked down his 12th three-pointer, a Kings franchise record. He's got 45 points.
Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with Sacktown Sports and the Sacktown Sports app.
Get ready for Camping World's Red, White, and New trade event, May 15th through the 18th. Get the highest value for your RV guaranteed during the biggest RV trade event of the year. Shop the best RV deals in America with new RVs starting as low as $92 a month. Get ready for the holiday weekend with up to 45% off grills and 25% off product installation. Plus, we'll have free hats, free propane refills, free food, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the incredible Red, White, and New trade event, May 15th through the 18th at your local Camping World.
See for full details and disclaimer.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number Everything Smart Bed sale. Every smart bed and base are on sale during our Memorial Day event. Up to 50% off, plus free home delivery. Limited time. Exclusively the Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The Hagen Oaks Cutting Edge Putter Fitting Studio offers you more technology, more choices, and more service. Hagen Oaks wants to be your go-to total golf game fitter. With $30,000 worth of state-of-the-art technology ready for your fitting, Hagen Oaks will help you make your best putting stroke while finding the best putter design, shape, hosel, length, and loft for your game. Schedule your fitting at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531 for more.
Sacramento's premier music festival, Country in the Park, is this weekend with Bailey Zimmerman. Plus Billy Currington, Nate Smith, Ernest, and more. Friday and Saturday, May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo. Don't miss pop-up stores, food trucks, line dancing, and more. Country in the Park, celebrating 25 years, May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo.
Sponsored by the California Army National Guard. Get tickets and more info at CITPFest.com.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Only one radio program captures the excitement of hunting and fishing as it happens. The award-winning California Sportsman with Sep Hendrickson. Only California Sportsman takes you where the action is. Live on the water, live in the blind, and live with the top pros and experts in outdoor sports. California Sportsman with Fishing Hall of Famer Sep Hendrickson is your premier destination for all things outdoors. Sep's Saturday Morning Outdoors. Ultimate Bass and California Sportsman, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. Saturdays on Sacktown Sports 1140.
Come check out Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room with the most variety of table games in the region in a safe and friendly environment. Plenty of well-lit parking available, conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. And remember, Capital Casino has the best food, the best service, and the best action. 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento. For more information, log on to capital-casino.com, and please gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140.
on Sacktown Sports.
With Kyrie and his ACL situation, Shams is reporting that the Mavericks are going to pursue a point guard either through trade or free agency. Yeah, 209. What if Schroeder goes to the Mavs and then they win one, huh? What about that? But we were talking about De'Aaron Fox having some fun. It's all in good fun. And how Dylan Harper, who is a huge guard, is projected to go to the Spurs if they keep the pick. And somebody chimed in, you put 2 and 2 together. Somebody said, what about Fox to Dallas? Which is interesting. It's very interesting. I do think that Kyrie and De'Aaron, the timelines fit. I do think they're still in Texas. I actually think that De'Aaron and Kyrie could play together for sure. Because, you know, with De'Aaron's speed and Kyrie's shiftiness, and De'Aaron would have to do more defensively, but obviously offensively you're leaning on Kyrie more for the scoring. I think that tandem, it's a smaller tandem as far as the defense is concerned, but I think offensively it would work pretty well. And I joked De'Aaron about his shooting. It's definitely improved, and they can both obviously pass the basketball. I think it could work. I think size would be the issue, and just how the Mavericks would get that done. It really goes back to De'Aaron's value. If anything, couldn't you make the argument that even though the Spurs got De'Aaron on a bit of a bargain now, because if you got something on a bargain and people know you got it on a bargain, then you can't then raise the price and say, well, even though these dudes didn't pay that much for it, this is what it's actually worth. That's not how it works. So I think the Mavericks would come in and say, okay, well, you know, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head, a Gafford or somebody like that, you know, to give the Spurs a little bit of beef, or whoever it is. How could they get that done? I don't think it's a crazy conversation, 916. De'Aaron is going to spend his time in San Antonio, but the Mavericks do need a point guard. It is also in Dallas, and they would be contending. So I don't think it's crazy. 916, I don't think it's crazy at all. Is it crazy to think that the NBA could be continuing to expand? Here is Adam Silver on that situation.
We have a NBA board meeting in July in Las Vegas, and my sense is it will be on the agenda to discuss with full ownership now for the 30 teams to get directly the existing owners' views on potential expansion and how we would begin furthering the study of all the implications. And I've said before, there's an impact on dilution of talent. There's, of course, an economic impact in that presumably if we were to expand, let's say, an even number of teams, 2 teams, it means there's then a division of our media deals by 2 additional partners, et cetera. I mean, that's just math. That's something we have to look at as well. And then get a sense of the level of interest from certain markets. And look, I know there's tremendous interest in Seattle. I know there's tremendous interest in Las Vegas and several other cities as well that whether I've read about the interest or, heard indirectly from others. Just to be clear, we haven't begun any sort of process. So even to the extent cities have reached out, we've said, thank you for your interest, but we're not ready to take meetings yet and have more in-depth discussions. But we will have that opportunity early this summer again to talk to all the different ownership groups in the NBA and get a sense. And I'll lastly say, expansion, I think over time makes sense. As to precise timing, I think we still need to work on that.
That was Adam Silver. And I got to be honest, there's been so much that has come out about the expansion. I personally thought that they were further along, right? And maybe he's just playing a little coy, but I definitely thought that they were further along than this.
I thought the same thing. I really thought that the Vegas thing, they were already talking to people, and Seattle's been talked about since they lost the team. So I thought that they were way further along, and judging by how long it's taking for Portland's supposed to get a WNBA team, and that's been 2 years in the making, and they don't even have a name.
Right.
So judging by what he's saying, at least 5 years, I want to say, if they start right now.
I mean, there were conversations, and who knows when he's going to stop playing, because we know he might not ever want to stop. But there were conversations that KD would be able to go back to Seattle. That's how long we've been talking about this, that KD might be able to end his career in Seattle if they had a team back there. And Adam Silver is basically felt like he just wanted to clear some of the rumors, say, hey, I know this has been talked about for a couple of years now, but we're actually not really close at all.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of stuff overseas as well. That might just be their focus right now. The league's in a relatively good place. Go do some other stuff. I don't know, but that is surprising to hear.
Yeah. As far as the lottery is concerned, we have Worldwide Wob, Rob Perez, who I don't know if he started out just posting videos, but he was posting videos on Twitter, got huge, knows ball, don't get me wrong. He's now a host on Sirius NBA. He does stuff for Bleacher Report as well. Like I said, that's how I know him, from posting stuff on Twitter. I don't know if that, and this is years ago now. So he is one of the biggest names, I would say, in the digital media space for the NBA. And this is what he had to say about the lottery. Here's the quote: "A lot of complaining about the draft lottery structure hours later, specifically around bad teams not being able to keep up unless they get a top 3 pick. That argument is null and void after this Pistons great season in 2024-2025. Historic futility a season ago, complete overhaul of the coaching staff and front office, and when they had the worst record in the league, they too fell all the way down to 5th in the draft. That Asar Thompson guy they got stuck with ended out working pretty damn well, I'd say. Figure it out." Kyle's not here, but Kyle essentially had that thought yesterday when we were going back and forth between what Rachel Nichols said and what Greeny was saying. I was on the side of Rachel Nichols as far as, Utah Jazz have never had a pick. That's kind of messed up. That, I don't mind the NFL model at all. But Kyle's argument, and which is what kind of Greeny was saying too, was you still have a top pick, right? You're going to be in the top 7, whatever it is. You're going to have opportunities. You're going to have multiple opportunities if you continue to stink. At some point, you have to figure it out. You got to put the right guys in place, and you rock and roll from there. Now, we'll see what happens. And we've joked about the Pistons being similar, this being their beam team season. I think Cade is better than anybody as far as the future, right? I think Cade is a better foundation than what the Kings had their beam team season. But you got a crazy season from Malik Beasley. It feels like a career year from him, right? And I think the Kings might fall for that trap, and I don't want them to. Career year from him, right? A couple of Tobias Harris is playing to what his contract actually is, because it's not a ridiculous contract anymore. And some things came together, and you end up losing, but it was a same thing. They got to this game 6, not game 7, but you lose to a more established 3 seed in the New York Knicks. So the reverse, because the Kings were the 3 seed, but kind of the same idea based on, okay, they've had some success. They got the star, they got Brunson, things like that. And Worldwide Wob is using the Pistons as a kind of a blueprint to say, hey, you can figure this out. You just need the right people in the room. I hear where he's coming from. We also have to see what the Pistons look like next season before we make that assumption, right?
And Cade was the number 1 overall pick.
And a lot of people were saying that too.
That's like just a bad team. Like, it goes back to like basketball philosophy, but picking the Pistons, obviously in the top 10, there's going to be someone who goes 5 through 10.
And look how long it took them. Should it take every team that long to quote unquote figure it out?
Yeah, but a lot of that was done to themselves. Like, that was like Drummond years. They did a lot of the weird, like, not fully going into it.
Right, like the Bulls now.
Yeah, it's the same thing as that. So you have to kind of determine what's self-inflicted and what's bad luck in the lottery.
Right.
Or bad luck in general, like the Pelicans. The Pelicans, just bad luck in general.
Yeah, and I didn't even think that they deserved another pick, because it's just maybe the number 1 is just not supposed to go there, Pelicans. Maybe that's just not.
Maybe you'll be better off with that.
Yeah, maybe let's try something new. So I thought that was interesting, but I do feel what you're saying, Anthony, as far as, well, you can't just have this statement and base it on Asar Thompson, who had a pretty good season. A lot of people think he's the lesser of the twins, but both of them are supposed to be really good.
They're both great.
And just completely ignore that the Pistons won the lottery.
Yeah.
They won the lottery.
They have Jaden Ivey.
And they had Jaden Ivey, who's coming
play,
back.
But yeah, he'll come back. And it's like they did well with the lottery. We can't act like they're the poster child for, we don't, like, the lottery's fine.
Right.
Like, you don't need the number 1 pick when they're led by a number 1 overall pick.
Now you have, I think, the Thunder, another interesting one, because you have the Thunder and Jalen Williams, who I think is a find, right? Chet is the obvious one. And okay, you got gifted Chet. Obviously, SGA, clearly the Clippers didn't see that coming, but you have Chet, fine. Then on the other hand, you have, okay, Jalen Williams, that was a good get, right? And guys like that. So it's a combination of things. And now Adam Schefter said that the lottery would be a home run for the NFL. I think with the NFL, it's so much driven by quarterbacks that, hey, we're not really trying to tank. I just can't find a good quarterback, right? It's not as if the NFL is sitting their best quarterback so they can lose games because their best quarterback is, they want to win games. So I don't know how a lottery would work. Some teams would be bad for a long time. Or I guess there'd be a lot more of, quarterback movement, if you will. Okay, well, we stunk and this team lost the lottery, so now we're going to trade this quarterback because we're going to now get a new quarterback. So I don't know. Maybe.
I think the lottery would make teams worse for longer for the NFL. I don't think that it works for the NFL. I don't mind it for the NBA, but for the NFL, I can't imagine that being something that they would want, because like you said, it is like a quarterback thing. And if you're really bad and you need that quarterback and you somehow go further back and now someone picks the quarterback and they want to trade it to you for way more, and then you're just stuck there forever.
And then you get the quarterback and it's Trey Lance.
Yeah, that's always a thing, too, with the NFL. I think it's a lot more volatile in drafting.
You get Jamarcus Russell. So, I don't know. Lottery, no lottery. You do need, to Rob's point, you do need the right people in the building. And speaking of the NFL schedule is being released today. Ooh, the leaks are coming out. Oh, my goodness, I can't wait. The leaking schedules, really. Let's talk about some of the highlighted games coming up this NFL season. Now, Sal, Sacktown Sports.
Carmichael Dave here for my good friends at American Energy. As a native Sacramentan, I can tell you, not that you need to know, that it might be nice right now, but turn the corner and oh my God, it's so hot. Yeah, summer is coming. And my friends at American Energy want to make sure you are dialed with your AC unit. So how about this half off tune-up? Right now, it's a special going on, just $24.50 to Get your air conditioner tuned up. A free diagnostic. And oh, by the way, if you need a new AC unit, up to $3,500 in rebates on qualifying system installations. That's right. They've been serving the greater Sacramento area since 1981. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. Give them a call, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990. Here's the song.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Power Business Technology is proud to be a 100% independent, locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Local ownership cuts out the red tape, allowing ourselves to never be too busy to personally answer the call when our clients need us. Recognized for excellence in service execution, training, and customer service, we're proud to be named a Toshiba ProMasters Elite Dealer since 2021. Contact us today for all your business printing needs at 844-POWER-BZ. That's 844-769-3729, or visit us at powercopiers.com.
People are coming from all over to Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, from Folsom, Elk Grove, Woodland, Roseville, because they've seen for themselves the huge selection and the best prices at SacSuperstore.com. Good luck finding a lower price anywhere else. And if you do, they'll match it. It's as simple as that. Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, where a handshake still means something. Open until 10 o'clock and centrally located right across from Hagen Oaks Golf Course. And online at SacSuperstore.com. The guaranteed lowest price and the best selection of Dodge, Chrysler, Jeeps, and Rams. SacSuperstore.com.
Memorial Day is the unofficial beginning of summer and a time to reflect on the blessings we enjoy living in this country. Hi, I'm Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. At Naturewood's Memorial Day sale, you choose the offer. It's like two sales in one. Take 10% off regular prices or get 24 months of no-interest financing with payments on approved credit. Then you can choose from living rooms, sofas, sectionals, dining rooms, bedrooms, home offices, and so much more. Whether you're looking to lighten the mood in your living room, brighten up your bedroom, or tighten up your home office, you can shop and save big on the best selection of quality furniture, including Sacramento's largest selection of furniture made in the USA. Shop the area's best selection of quality furniture at Naturewood Home Furnishings, off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for that water wheel.
Nighttime is fun time at the Hagen Oaks Top Tracer driving range. It's more relaxed at night with people enjoying technology, where you can play Pebble Beach at Hagen Oaks, compete against your friends in a variety of games, or just practice at your leisure. There's food when you're hungry from Hangout Eats and Drinks opening late May, or enjoy a beverage on the brand new patio with relaxed seating. And check out the summer-long free concert schedule. It's the Hagen Oaks driving range, nightly until 2 a.m. Fulton Avenue at Business 80.
Sacramento River Cats Baseball is celebrating Corduroy Bucket Hat Night, presented by Power Market on Friday, May 30th at Sutter Health Park. The first 2,500 fans score this stylish hat. Get your River Cats baseball tickets today at rivercats.com.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
Yeah, it's always funny when, everybody just wants to be first, no matter what it is. And you're seeing these leaks come out. I guess it's been leaked that the Niners are facing the Seahawks, it sounds like. And Coach Yak, he's huge on Niners Twitter. He's getting these different releases from different people saying the Niners will host the Titans. And I know football is king, don't get me wrong, but the Niners will host the Titans at Levi Stadium in week 15. People sitting here writing it down. The Niners will host the Seahawks at Levi Stadium in week 18. Now that one I like. The Niners will host the Falcons at Levi's in week 7 on Sunday Night Football. Obviously, the whole schedule. We just got to wait a couple hours. And the schedule will be released, okay? And some of the kind of highlighted matchups outside of the Niners, the Eagles and Cowboys will kick off opening night. Chargers versus the Chiefs in Brazil the next day. That's on a Friday. Eagles versus Chiefs will be in week 2. And Chiefs, I feel like that's an early rematch. I know sometimes they'll do the first game, or the Super Bowl champ always plays. And of course, just throw the Cowboys in there. Eagles versus Chiefs, Super Bowl rematch. That's in week 2. And Chiefs versus the Cowboys, Thanksgiving. Broncos versus Chiefs, Christmas Day. Obviously, the Eagles are the reigning champs, and it's just a combination of the same teams over and over again. The Cowboys, I don't know if anybody is just – people say they're getting sick of it, because I was going to say you're getting sick of it, but do you get sick of watching the Cowboys lose? Does that even – how bad would the Cowboys have to be with Dak Prescott for you to be tuned out? Because I feel like, Cooper Rush when they're not supposed to win, because it's the crushing the hope. That's the best part of watching it, because Cowboy fans think they're going to win every game, as a lot of fans do, but they're very smug and more open about it and loud about it. But would there ever be a point where the NFL says we can't run? Obviously, they're always going to play Thanksgiving, but hey, opening night, somebody they have their exec meeting. All right, we want to go Cowboys here, and somebody says, "Oh, no." Now, I feel like they're going to be in the conversation every year, no matter what they did the previous year.
Yeah, I think that the NFL won't stop unless people stop watching, obviously. And I think that the reason why people like me watch is, like you said, because their fans always think they're going to win every game. Mm-hmm. And so there's always that chance, because they're not as good as their fans think, that they're going to blow every game.
Yes.
And it's going to be hilarious.
Right.
So I'm going to watch that and laugh. And then their fans are still tuning in, because they have tons of fans. So the Cowboys are still huge. But people have been saying they're sick of the Cowboys since, I was 10 years old.
Right.
And I don't think that that's true. I think that people are just sick of seeing Cowboys fans all over the place. But that creates the fun part of it, where you get to watch them and then you get to laugh at them, because they always blow it. So I don't know when the NFL will move past it. It has to be when the fans, all the bandwagon fans, just kind of stop caring.
Yeah.
Which I can't see that happening.
I don't think so.
Soon.
I don't think so. I mean, let's think about it. And the Cowboys and Jerry Jones are really good at finding a way to stay relevant. You get George Pickens, and that's going to be just funny to watch, because the interesting thing about wide receivers is obviously they all want help. And I'm trying to compare it to the only thing I could compare it to is, I guess, a high volume guard. Right? DeMar, I need help. Okay, well, some of that help is going to come with less shots from you. CeeDee Lamb, it's just me out here, bruh. I'm getting all these targets, I'm getting all this, and the offense has struggled for the Cowboys, but how does CeeDee deal with the fact that George Pickens is going to get the ball? And we know how George Pickens acts when he doesn't get the ball. So a lot of it is just the drama. It's like a comedy show.
Yeah, but that's with every team.
Yeah.
The 49ers had that too. Debo's I'm just not getting the ball. And we're like, you are getting targets. It's always funny. The wide receiver drama is always hilarious, because there is that middle ground that you have to be in, where they need to have enough touches, but they can't have too many. Otherwise, they're complaining they're doubled every single
I can't get loose.
possession. Yeah.
I can't get loose, or I'm always open. And funny enough, you look at the Bengals and even the Vikings, they both kind of figured it out. You feel like obviously Justin Jefferson's on another level, but a couple games, and there are mostly games where I had him on my over under, but there were some games where you couldn't, it was just, all right, this is an Addison game, because we're not going to let Jefferson beat us. So
the Addison games were hilarious.
They
for
were
people on fantasy.
I know. I'm sure they were.
It's a very funny time.
I'm sure they were. We're still seeing reports of Brandon Ayuk, right? If you look at buyer's remorse, if there was a all league buyer's remorse across all leagues, and I'm trying to think of other ones, right? But off the top of my head, the Niners signing Brandon Ayuk, the Kings giving Mike Brown an extension. I'm talking a who's who of buyer's remorse, because the Niners clearly don't want Brandon Ayuk, and I don't know why they signed him. Then it got worse because he tore his ACL, and now we're still seeing reports. Okay, well, they moved on from Debo, so drama's over, right? It's Ayuk 1, and you got JJ2 and you go from there. No, there's still reports that they're trying to move Brandon Ayuk. That's got to be the top two buyer's remorse, and obviously not draft picks, but things that they didn't have to do and did, and they immediately regretted it.
It was such a funny situation. Like, it's always horrible at the beginning of every football season. You just watch the people sit, and then the teams have to kind of figure this thing out, and it's a whole thing with the way the NFL works. But the Brandon Ayuk situation is just so annoying. It was so annoying at the beginning of the season. It was annoying when they started to suck in the middle of the season when he was there.
Yeah.
And it's annoying now. And I don't know what they think about him. Like, you as you said, there's conflicting reports. But, yeah, that's got to be up there with just like, man, we didn't really need to – I guess we did need to pay him that much. But it is rough.
Well, I think the issue is now – you want to move him, whatever the case may be, but I don't know who would want him at what he forced you, or he didn't force you, but what you reluctantly agreed to pay him. So now you can't move him.
Yeah. I mean, he's still good. I mean, he obviously,
the ACL.
Yeah, that is the roughest part, but like, who knew that was going to happen? It's the NFL. I don't know. It's so tough to look at the 49ers right now and really understand how this season is going to go, because it can go terribly wrong, and it could also be like moderately okay depending on the little moves that they make.
The only name that comes up, and they have DK, and I think honestly both these guys, they're not mid, but do 2 2s make a 1? If the Steelers added Ayuk, so that you have Ayuk and DK Metcalf, that's pretty good, right? You don't have is DK the 1?
Yeah, I think in that situation, that's how they would treat him. But I don't know. I understand what you're saying. I don't know if in terms of where he's at in his career, he's a 1 anymore.
Right. Would they be? How scary of a wide? Where would they rank? I mean, I feel like they'd be for sure be top 10.
Yeah,
I don't know if they'd be top 5.
Yeah, I don't know. It really just depends on like offensive schemes as well and how they're going to be played against. It's super hard to tell because a lot of football is like pieces and putting them in the right spot.
Mm-hmm.
And with those two guys, you got to put them in the right spot. And then you, once again, like we were talking about, the wide receiver drama is bound to happen with those two.
Oh my goodness.
If that were to happen, that would be a soap opera.
You got DK with his pacifier with his binky, just trying to fight Brandon Ayuk. Sign me up for that. That is why the NFL, it continues to grow every single season. All right, back to Kings as we hit the 1 o'clock hour. Our trade candidate of the day is Drew Holiday. Are you interested in Drew Holiday? Are there other positions that we're missing as it pertains to what the Sacramento Kings need to do to improve? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sacktown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sacktown Sports app.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
For a lot of us, saving up a down payment can be the biggest barrier to buying a home. So Rocket Mortgage is lowering down payments to 1% for eligible home buyers with One Plus. Because everyone deserves their shot at the American dream. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to get a head start on your starter home.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
It's your captain speaking. To the passenger with the Mirror Fast soft shoes, smart move.
No way am I letting travel constipation ruin this trip.
Can't blame you. Fast works fast, but without the harsh side effects.
Since I'm such a smart traveler, can I move to first class?
No. Close the curtain, girl.
From the makers of Miralax, new Mirafast soft chews work naturally with your body in as little as 30 minutes to give you a comfortable go on the go. Look for Mirafast at Walmart today. Use as directed for occasional constipation. Contains magnesium hydroxide.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Hereeth my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover is accepted at the places I love to shop. Get it with the times.
With the times? You're playing the lute.
Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
The hot weather is coming. Is your HVAC system ready for it? Let Lee's Air Plumbing and Heating make sure it is. Get to Lee'sAirPlumbingandHeating.com. Check out their $99 HVAC tune-up special. And let me tell you why Lee's Air Plumbing and Heating is the way to go. They took care of me when our heater collapsed over the winter, and Lee set us up with a great new HVAC system that is providing comfort, value, and quality. Let Lee's Air Plumbing and Heating take care of you. License number 635355.
Get in on the action at Sky River Casino. With over 80 table games, the hottest slot machines, and a thrilling high-limit room, you'll enjoy a casino experience on a whole new level. Just minutes from Sacramento, right off Highway 99 in Elk Grove. Join in the fun. Sky's the limit at Sky River Casino. Visit skyriver.com today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
KHTK HD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, Sacktown Sports 1140. Your home for Kings Talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
1 o'clock hour. Kyle Ledbetter is back. Thanks to Anthony. Kyle, how was the meeting?
You know, the last 30 minutes could have been an email, but we got some good numbers about where the station's at.
That's great. That's great. I can't wait to look at the email.
Yeah, Jose will probably email it to you.
Oh, yeah. No, he will. He will. So that's great stuff. Thanks again to Anthony, and Kyle is back in the building. We were talking a little bit of NFL. Want to get back to the Kings talk and NBA in general. So we were discussing what Worldwide Wob had to say about, it's not about getting the number one pick. It's about the other things you do. And he referenced the Pistons, who got the number one pick and selected Cade Cunningham, and then got Asar Thompson with the number 5 pick. And that's all fine and good. I think a big part of this is also just getting it right. Whatever number you have between 1 and 7, or 1 and 6, or 1 and 5, just getting it right. And sometimes a lot of times it's easier said than done. It is a draft. It is a gamble. And I look at the word fair as far as the Kings are concerned, and somebody is chiming in from the 916, Sam. Sacramento is the worst drafting team. And everybody has misses. But you sit there and you kick and scream, and some teams get luckier than others. Some people get luckier than others. Some people are more attractive than others. That's just how it goes, right? The genetic lottery. There's so many lotteries in life. There's a genetic lottery. Why does that guy look like that? What's going on here? Or why does she look like that? How is that? What's going on here? That lotteries are all over life, and you can't control them. What you can't control is what you do with the results. So kicking and screaming when you're the Kings and you passed on Luka for Marvin Bagley, eventually you should be able to figure that out. But yeah, the lottery gave you the gift. They gave you the genetic lottery. It helped you out. And you said no. So you got to get it right. You know, how many these college guys, right? When, you know, they take away college, or you had to go to college and you brought it back. The Thompson twins, a lot of people are talking about them. Do you know I did some actual reading on the Thompson twins, and they do not get talked about as much as LaMelo, really, because LaMelo went to Europe and played out there.
Australia.
The Thompson twins, they were born, they grew up in Oakland, right? They left Oakland at 13 years old to go to Florida to further their basketball careers. They did not finish high school basketball before going to this overtime elite league that, if you're asking Allen, what is that? The only reason I know overtime is because, in my opinion, they've just been a version of a Bleacher Report. They don't put out news, but they just do highlights, and they started doing some shows here and there. They created a league.
Yeah, it was essentially an NBA academy. And if you've heard the reporting on it, it was not.
It wasn't. And that scared a lot of people. So the Thompson twins, with all that athleticism, a completely different route to the NBA, that scared off some teams. Not a ton, because they still both got drafted pretty high, but that scared off some teams. So you have to trust your work. You have to trust the people that you pay. You have to trust your scouts. And you got to hope and pray a little bit that you got it right. But the lottery, even if the Jazz haven't ever had technically number one, the lottery gives everybody an opportunity. Might not be the same opportunity. The Pelicans, wow, the Pelicans got Zion. Well, Zion likes gumbo, and he can't stay on the court. So you never know what could happen. The Horn, everybody says, look at the Warriors. They blew it with LaMelo. Sure, they did. LaMelo cannot stay on the court.
Well, before we get too far away, let's stay on the Thompson twins point for a second, right? The Pistons, during their long rebuild, I will call it,
yes,
which I would say is post Blake Griffin blowing out his knee for the last time, the Pistons took Sekou Doumbouya, Killian Hayes, and then got the number 5 pick 3 years in a row, and they were still the worst team in the league. Or, sorry, the number 1 pick, then the number 5 pick 3 years in a row, and we're still the worst team in the league. But the collection of young talent, once you change the front office, change the coach, change the infrastructure, the young talent rose to the top. And they were the team that was known for always getting screwed in the lottery. It was like every year they'd have the top odds and they'd have the 5 pick. Top odds, 5 pick. Now you could make the argument none of it works without the 1 year of getting the number 1 of Cade Cunningham. But I would make the argument for all of these teams, if you stay in the lottery long enough, you're going to get a top 2 pick eventually.
Right.
The Hornets even got the number 3 pick of LaMelo Ball, right? If you suck long enough, and I'm not even saying 10 years, if you hang around 4 or 5 years in the lottery, you are eventually going to get one of those top picks. And maybe you're the one team that's unlucky and doesn't get it.
And that's the other thing. If you embrace the suck and continue to just stay the course, it's not as if, oh man, we stunk. And I know I'm kind of going against what I said yesterday, and I'm not saying, I still think that they could go in the route of the NFL, and there's more sound of people now saying the NFL should have a lottery, but it's not as if you can be one of the worst teams in the league and get the 15th pick. You know what I mean? You're going to be you're going to be in the top 10.
Which, by the way, in the NFL, Baltimore had the 14 pick and they got Kyle Hamilton, who's now the best safety in the NFL. It's not like you're limited by just having a top pick in the draft. And to the Kings' point of it, like with Monty McNair specifically, he didn't use that many draft picks, and we can relitigate the Davion Mitchell thing all we want, but like in 2023, when they just gave up their first round pick in a salary dump, if we were standing here today, would we be pounding fists on the table that Olivier Maxence Prosper is the young player that's going to change the fortunes of the Kings? I don't think so. But the Pistons, on the flip side, it's like even if they hadn't gotten Cade Cunningham, they still would have had a Jaden Ivey, Asar Thompson, and Ron Holland, and some other pick in that 2022 draft or 2021 draft. And they, even if they didn't have a star, they would have had a deep collection of young talent that you're going to get no matter what.
And the one thing, and there's a screenshot going around, and it has James Wiseman over LaMelo, and it's got Luka under Marvin Bagley III. The one thing I think that we've learned, and I would hope that the Kings have learned, even though obviously Scott Perry wasn't around during the most recent moves, how I look at it as far as the draft is concerned, and I'm talking specifically the NBA draft, how I look at this is talent first, right? And that's what Monty McNair said when he went with Carter. Okay, talent first. But if you are trying to acquire talent via trade or free agency, those fits matter, because you are going to an established situation and you're trying to kind of keep something going. You're trying to address something. To bring it all the way back to DeMar DeRozan, I think you added DeMar DeRozan not fully knowing what you were trying to address. You want to get Devin Carter, that's fine. You just go for the best. And Monty thinking, look, the last time, not that it's the number 2 pick, but when you draft for fit and then the fit doesn't work out and you miss on elite talent, that's a problem. The Warriors, it was said that they liked Tyrese better than LaMelo from a guard perspective. They take James Wiseman because they already had multiple guards at that point in time. We'll never know. But you look at DeMar DeRozan being brought in, okay? And if I were to ask most Kings fans, hey, what do the Kings need? And when you look at DeMar DeRozan, what is he there to do? Right? And that would also beg the question, what are you missing from Harrison Barnes? A lot of us would have said scoring. I think they would have said scoring. You have to look deeper than than whatever need you say, right? Because he did score more than Harrison Barnes.
Sure.
But all the other parts of his game was not conducive. I saw something from Will Z. Sets that said that the Kings led the league in mid-range jump shots. He said DeMar DeRozan's 8.3 attempts in the mid-range outpaced 14 teams. That ultimately led to the Kings leading the league with 15 mid-range attempts per contest. You have De'Aaron Fox, who is an improving shooter. You have Domantas Sabonis, who doesn't shoot threes, and if he does, he's wide open. He's got more time than when you are taking a free throw. So you have those two guys already on the court. You're adding DeMar DeRozan, and you have to think deeper. Okay, yes, DeMar DeRozan scores more than Harrison Barnes, but how is he scoring?
Yes.
How is he scoring? And they didn't pay attention to any of that. So the long and the short of it, draft, Monty McNair's gone now. Devin Carter's on the team. He blessed us with that body. We really hope that Devin Carter works out for us.
God blessing me with his body.
Thank you, Devin. For draft, that's fine. That's where I'm at. But when it comes to moves within the league and moving for established players, you can't just go out and I think they learned that now. Monty McNair's gone, but you can't just say, get the talent, figure it out later. You can't do that with established situations. Rookies is completely different.
Well, let's bring it back to the Celtics just for a second, right? Drew Holiday, you talked about it earlier. He was at like 20 points per game when he was a number 2 on the Bucks, and now he's down to like 11. And you talked about like when they ask you to be that number 2 again, maybe your fastball isn't there because you haven't been working on it the same. And I think that's kind of the interesting part about, and this is going to be a deeper like stats and how we measure things point, but like this is why just looking at the raw numbers sometimes doesn't tell the whole story, right? Because DeMar DeRozan was emphatically more valuable than Harrison Barnes, but it came at the cost of Keegan Murray being a number 5 scoring option on the floor, or Malik Monk being a number 4 scoring option at times when he was on the floor, versus during the Beam team, where it's like when Malik came in the game, he was your number 3 or sometimes your number 2, along with De'Aaron Fox or whoever else he was on the floor with. So that's the weird part about all of this is, DeRozan's numbers were better, but the offensive ratings, which is just points per 100 possessions of the team, was dramatically down. They were like 19th in the league during the interim Beam team's era, of the 2 months. So, it's hard to gauge those things sometimes, and that's why it's hard to look at what you lost in Harrison Barnes and be like, well, it was a better trade because they got a better player, but that player was in a different role. They didn't ask DeMar DeRozan to be better Harrison Barnes.
We had some fun about an hour ago as far as De'Aaron Fox and the Spurs, okay? There is an update on De'Aaron Fox, that point guard situation that De'Aaron can't avoid, and we will share that update with you when we return. Don't worry, I'm not being petty this time. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Get ready for Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th. Get the highest value for your RV guaranteed during the biggest RV trade event of the year. Shop the best RV deals in America with new RVs starting as low as $92 a month. Get ready for the holiday weekend with up to 45% off grills and 25% off product installation. Plus, we'll have free hats, free propane refills, free food, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the incredible Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th at your local Camping World.
Full details and disclaimer.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
Kyle was out, and in case you were just now joining us, we had some fun. 12 o'clock hour. By the way, I know the Kings don't have a pick, but the draft combine, it's been pretty funny. You have the vertical leaps and Johnny Broom, who out of Auburn, he's just one of those guys where, hey, heck of a college guy, have no clue what he's going to do in the NBA. He's getting roasted for his lack of vertical. There are the scrimmages going on right now, so if you want to check some of that out, even though the Kings don't have a pick, you never know. But before Kyle came back in the 12 o'clock hour, we were having some fun with Dylan Harper, the huge point guard that the Spurs seem to be in line to draft. And I was just joking around about, hey, De'Aaron Fox is here again with another point guard battle. Could you imagine if they moved on from De'Aaron Fox, as there were a couple people saying, hey, if we have to choose, not that we have to, I might choose Dylan Harper when you're looking at ceilings, age, money, things like that. Here's Jonathan Gavoni, and he is with the ESPN crew on NBA Today, and he's got some things to say about what the Spurs will do or could do with that number 2 pick.
Dylan Harper is going to be the number 2 pick in the draft. I am 99.9% sure about it. He looked also really, really good, tested very well, shot it well. His body is in a great place. He's lost 15 pounds in the last years. He's also grown. He has measurements comparable to those of Dwayne Wade coming out of college. The San Antonio Spurs are signaling to teams that they are very excited about the opportunity to draft Dylan Harper. They are not pursuing trades from what we're hearing. They think that they can play Dylan Harper together with Steph Castle and De'Aaron Fox in the same backcourt.
So I guess he's coming off the bench for now, right? Because Anthony and I had talked about does one of them move to wing, and Anthony said, from what I'm reading, this dude's a point guard. So
he's 6'6", but he's a point guard.
And I know So everybody gets Anthony Black besides the Kings, huh? Is that what's going on? And the other thing is,
well, they just got to get to the top of the draft.
That's right. And the other thing is, Stephon Castle, I don't think he's big enough to move to wing. I don't think. So I don't think the three of them can be on the court together.
Well, the De'Aaron Fox thing is interesting because, like, we know we've seen it. De'Aaron can play some off-ball too, but his best skill set is when he's playmaking. Mm-hmm. So I would say in the short term, Dylan Harper probably comes off the bench, but how long does that last for the number 2 pick in the draft?
Well, first of all, he's got to be good, right? We don't know that for a fact. He's supposed to be really good.
Let's just try and think this out. So the Spurs right now would have a lineup of Fox. God, I can't believe they couldn't get any of those guys. They would have Fox, Vassell, Castle
off the bench now.
I guess Barnes starting at the 4, Wemby starting at the 5, Sohan, Champagnie. I mean, look, I'm not going to say the Spurs don't need talent. They definitely do. When Wemby was off the floor this year, pre-De'Aaron Fox trade, they were one of the worst offenses in the NBA. So I'm not going to pretend like the Spurs are this perfect team. How could they possibly add Dylan Harper to the mix? They do just need talent. But, yeah, I think they probably wish they had gotten this pick in a year where there was a 6'10" forward who was the number 2 prospect in the draft.
They can take they don't have to take, but here we go. And now you hit right on it, Kyle. You fell into it. Well, maybe you didn't because we don't know what they're going to do. But you got Ace Bailey, who looks to be going number 3 to the Sixers. If you are the Spurs now, do you draft based on need or do you draft based on talent?
Talent.
So there you go.
Don't Marvin Bagley this thing. Talent. If they're screaming at you, Dylan Harper is the number 2 prospect, which everyone was saying that before the lottery It's Cooper number 1, it's him number 2, it's Ace and VJ from Baylor and Johnson from Texas, some combination of 3 through 5. Take Dylan. Don't overthink this thing. But it is so funny that they literally got De'Aaron Fox, and 4 months later, they have the number 2 pick in the draft. It's literally Marvin Bagley.
Yeah.
It's literally De'Aaron Fox's rookie year was the year before they got the number 2 pick in the draft. And now De'Aaron Fox is a star, and it does not change the fact that it's the same situation.
Death taxes and De'Aaron Fox point guard debates. It's never going to change.
De'Aaron hasn't signed his extension, by the way.
I know that.
Out there.
I know that. We that's what we talked about in the 12 o'clock hour.
So if you're San Antonio, I'm getting the talent in the door until you get that offer. That makes it worth it, right? Because Dylan Harper might have a higher ceiling than Steph Castle, and Steph Castle won Rookie of the Year. So maybe Steph Castle is the one that ultimately gets knocked out of the logjam. I think it's a good problem to have if they're struggling.
The reigning Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. I mean, they're saying Dylan Harper's a higher graded prospect than Steph Castle.
Yeah. And Anthony had mentioned they're going to at least, and Jonathan Cavoni is, obviously confirming, they're going to give this a go, right?
Sure.
They're going to give this a go.
And Dylan can come off the bench, at the beginning.
Yeah. They're going to give this a go and see if it can work. And, until somebody forces somebody else's hands. It's the Devin Vassells, it's the dudes like that where it's, all right, we just don't have space for you anymore. It was a good run, but we just don't have space for you. Real quick, Dennis in Stockton is hitting us up, 916-339-1140. You want to be a part of the conversation. Watching Tyrese during the playoffs confirms we traded the wrong point guard. Tyrese is balling and carrying the team. And we elected to keep Fox, and now we don't have either. That is Dennis in Stockton. Dennis, I don't know if this will make you feel any better, but yeah, I took that whole conversation about the trade and whether they picked somebody or who picked whatever. Carmichael Dave essentially confirmed that. And I had said to Carmichael Dave, I was under the impression, or I had heard, that the Pacers were given a choice and they chose Tyrese Haliburton. So to your point, actually, Dennis, Dave said that wasn't true. So did they pick De'Aaron Fox? Maybe that's what Dave is alluding to. I'm not sure. Either way, it is rough sledding, but so maybe that doesn't make you feel any better, Dennis. But
the deal wouldn't have gotten done as constructed if it had been De'Aaron Fox.
Right. I think how I'm trying to make you feel better is that maybe they don't have to do the deal, period, but there was no world where you just trade De'Aaron Fox and you get Sabonis. That's the bottom line.
Yes, the trade would have had to have looked dramatically different if it would have been Fox, probably with the Kings sending out multiple first-round picks. And again, it never got to that point, so we'll never know. But I'm just operating under the world where it's like, to make the deal worth it, they would have had to send a lot to Indiana if it were Fox instead of Haliburton.
When we return, there's a report we're trying to confirm. Not that it necessarily matters all that much. Maybe it does. The Kings were closer than you thought to turning this thing around. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has the biggest selection, the best prices, and unbeatable customer service. Check them out online, SacSuperstore.com, for the guaranteed lowest price on Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Open until 10 o'clock and right across from Hagen Oaks Golf Course. SacSuperstore.com.
Sacramento's premier music festival, Country in the Park, is this weekend with Bailey Zimmerman.
Baby, don't leave me all the way.
Smith, Ernest, and more. Friday and Saturday, May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo. Don't miss pop-up stores, food trucks, line dancing, and more. Country in the Park, celebrating 25 years, May 16th and 17th at Cal Expo.
Sponsored by the California Army National Guard. Get tickets and more info at CITPFest.com.
At Big O Tires, now through Memorial Day, get $80 to $120 instant savings on 4 select in-stock Cooper, Nexen, Nitto, or Sumitomo brand tires with installation purchase. Disposal fees extra, not good with other offers. See your locally owned Big O Tire store for pricing.
Louis C.K. in an all-new show, Ridiculous 2025 Tour.
When I was younger, you had to go in the bank. Remember that? You had to go inside the bank. Now you look in the bank, you're like, what are those people doing in there? Are they cleaning? The money's out here.
Friday and Saturday, June 13th and 14th, 8 p.m. The venue at Thunder Valley. For tickets, visit ThunderValleyResort.com. Louis C.K. live on stage.
Hi, I'm Allen Stiles. Injured at work? Call Downtown. Downtown LA Law Group, California's leading injury law firm. With over 40 lawyers throughout California, they've won over $500 million in settlements. Downtown LA Law Group will get you compensation for your work injury. You don't pay unless they win. That's right. You pay zero up front. Call Downtown. Text Injury Help to 40222. That's Injury Help to 40222. Visit them at calldowntown.com.
Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Here's Frank LaRosa.
With so many ways to warm up before golf, a group of university researchers tried to cut through the clutter. 24 low handicap players were split into groups. The first group was instructed to hit 9 shots in a row with 4 different clubs at set targets. The second group also hit 36 shots, but in a random order. Maybe 1 shot with a driver, 1 with a 7-iron, another with a wedge, and so on. Then all the golfers from both groups hit 9 test shots that simulated the kind of shots they'd hit on the course. Results found that the group who practiced with randomized shots performed better than the first group. Well, that's one study, but it's probably important to note that rather than hit a bunch of shots with 3 clubs, you might be better off hitting different clubs to different distances. You'll have practice shots to different targets with different clubs, presumably just like you'll do on the golf course. Give it a try. What do you have to lose except a few shots on your scorecard? That's your Golf to Go. I'm Frank LaRosa.
The hot weather is coming. Is your HVAC system ready for it? Let Lee's Air Plumbing and Heating make sure it is. Get to Lee'sAirPlumbingandHeating.com. Check out their $99 HVAC tune-up special. And let me tell you why Lee's Air Plumbing and Heating is the way to go. They took care of me when our heater collapsed over the winter, and Lee set us up with a great new HVAC system that is providing comfort, value, and quality. Let Lee's Air Plumbing and Heating take care of you. License number 635355.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140.
on Sacktown Sports.
Does it burn any worse if I tell you this, or are you already just numb to everything? So the reports are out, and these are the ping pong balls that were kind of released, okay? So the Kings were one of 8 teams that could have won the lottery, pretty much is what it breaks down to. One of 8 teams, because obviously the Hawks had a couple chances at it. But once they rolled out each ball, 10, 11, and 14 came out. So the teams that were left, the Wizards had 1, the Pelicans had 2, the Nets had 3, the Raptors had 4, the Spurs had 5, the Blazers had 6, the Dallas Mavericks had 7, the Bulls had 8, the Kings had 9, and the Hawks had 10 in there twice. So,
okay. So you're saying the Kings had a 10% chance once it came down to the last ball being pulled.
yes, which I know it burns. And somebody, the 510, saying, basketball Jesus hates the Kings. I know it burns, but doesn't it make you feel, hey, we're kind of close, right?
The one that's
out of those 1,000, Kyle, the 1,000, Allen, it's out of 28 out of 1,000, whatever.
They had 18
Doesn't that
combos.
make you feel pretty good?
I mean, it is kind of fun that they had one of the last ones. Which one would it have been for them? Did you say 9?
9.
So if it had came up at 9, it would have been the Kings.
That's right.
That's one of those where it's like every team can say that. Zach Lowe.
Only 8 teams can say that.
Well, so the Hawks had it in there twice, and who was the other team?
Well, it was the Wizards, the Pelicans, the Nets, the Raptors, the Spurs, the Blazers, the Mavericks, the Bulls.
Oh, so you're saying 8 other teams, not including the Mavericks.
That's right.
Okay,
That's right.
I see what you're saying.
I'm just counting up. Hey, we're all in a pot together, and we can win this thing, baby.
Yeah, 8 of the 14 can all console together that they were one spot away, which Zach Lowe was kind of explaining. It's like when the early numbers are higher, that means it's a better chance for the teams deep in the lottery. It's like, so once it pulled 11 and 14, that made it so like everybody was still on the table. Like all the teams
right
with lower odds, it comes up with earlier numbers.
Sure.
And ultimately it all evens out to 140 are the Wizards, 140 are XYZ. But apparently like once 11 and 14 got pulled, it was like chaos scenario.
Right. So, hey, and I feel good. I feel like it was close. I feel as if the vibes for the Kings are starting to change around.
I think of all the teams that have gripes, I think the Kings might be like one of the lowest. Like the Bulls got screwed out of that one pick.
They did.
Portland, I don't know if Zach Lowe had a story about it. It was basically like at one point, knowing it was 6 and 7 were left, the Mavericks GM turned to the Blazers GM and was like, it's going to be 7. And then 7 popped up, and it was like he knew that he had won, and no one else really knew that they had won. So, like, the Blazers, that sucks. You were 1 number off. Who was number 8 on that one?
So, number 8 was the Bulls.
So the Bulls just got screwed out of Cooper Flag is what I'm hearing. Just everything this year was conspiring for maximum pain of the Chicago Bulls not getting Cooper Flag.
Yeah, so the Spurs, again, everybody was right there, and the Kings were right there, and, you know, you never know. Maybe it could be a sign of good things to come. I'm trying here, man. I'm trying. That's all we can do at this point.
I like that you're choosing the optimistic route of our list of 20 different types of Kings fans. You're choosing to be optimistic.
That's right,
Allen, right now, instead of skeptically hopeful Allen.
That's right. All right, let's talk a little bit about the games tonight and whether or not we'll see more teams punch their ticket to the conference finals. So, Kyle, you have the Knicks taking on the Celtics. They can close that out. And the Warriors taking on the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves can close that out. Do you think either team gets it done? I think the Knicks do get it done. I don't know. There's a part of me that thinks the Celtics are going to have a random Peyton Pritchard 30-point game and get it back to New York and then lose in New York.
Well,
but there's a part of me that thinks the Celtics might figure it out.
Celtics won a championship last year with Jason Tatum clanking threes, so maybe, I'm just kidding, but I think that's
a low blow. He just had surgery.
I saw someone make this joke, and I thought it was very clever, is like, I hate when a player that I don't like for purely basketball reasons gets hurt, because then I can't make fun of them anymore because now they're hurt. That's kind of me with Jason Tatum. I think there are people who dislike Jason Tatum more, but when I saw him getting wheelchaired, that's my other crazy story. So I was playing basketball on Monday. By the way, Jalen Wells showed up at the court. It was kind of cool.
Did he hoop?
He did not.
Wait, he's still injured.
He did not hoop, but I can report the cast is off on his wrist.
Okay.
Anyways, that was kind of cool. But I got home right as they were wheelchairing him out. So I missed the injury, but I saw him doing the Paul Pierce. I was like, oh, hey, Jason Tatum just did a Paul Pierce.
Yeah, and everyone's like, he can't even get injured. He can't even be unique when he gets injured.
But my experience, because I'm not a Jason Tatum hater. I think Jason Tatum is an excellent player, all that stuff. But the image of me walking in and seeing him getting wheelchaired out as the first thing was like, my intrusive thoughts are just like, oh, hey, he just pulled a Paul Pierce.
You're not alone. If I have to pick, I'm going to do it. I'm going to say the Celtics kind of rally around it. Every team's got one rally in them, or they just want to go to Cancun. I think the Celtics being at home, they got a lot of pride. I actually think that they win tonight. And then we'll lose in New York. And I don't think New York will mind winning in New York. That's going to be a nightmare out there.
Have you seen the spread for that game yet?
I have not. Here we go.
Let's see what we can find here if we want to play Guess the Spread. Sorry, I have to look it up real quick. But
okay, well, you acted like you had it ready.
Give me your guess.
Knicks, 4.5.
Knicks are underdogs tonight by 3.5.
Really? See? Just going to rally around. Okay, thank you. Rally around. Yeah, I got the Celtics. I think they rally for one game and lose in New York, and everyone wearing Timberlands just goes crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing with that one, but it is the defending champions on their home court in a winner-go-home game.
Not like this, guys. We ain't going down like this.
No, we're going down in front of Timothy and the New York Knicks fans.
And Kylie Jenner. Warriors, Timberwolves, I would say. The Timberwolves were favored by 10.5 in the Bay. So I'm going to say they're favored by 12.5.
Stuck to the first one. They are 10.5 point favorites again against the Golden State Warriors tonight. That one is cooked. Not just because of the injury. Like Timberwolves, as I told you before, they're really good.
Yeah, we'll never know how this thing was going to end up. The only hope that the Warriors have is that Jimmy has one more game left in him. He had the 33 in Game 3. They lost that one. That really just changed the whole course of this series because Jimmy's not going to have many of those games left without Steph. and he only shoots the ball 9 times in game 4. That was just atrocious all the way around. Brandon Podziemski cannot shoot the basketball. This is the worst shooting we've seen in the history of the NBA playoffs since 2014, which I don't think Kyle was even in high school yet. So that's insane.
I was not.
And then you have look, I'm not going to sit here and bag on a guy who's making 13 a year. Moses Moody had a nice little extension, but I mean, he played 7 minutes last game. He was starting,
and they need like anybody.
That's what I'm saying. I think if you're the Warriors, you're in bleep it mode. And Quentin Post, please remember how to do something. Guy Santos, please remember how to do something. Moses Moody, please remember how to do something. And you're just praying, because you can't do what you've done. The game 3, sure, but you can't continue. I mean, you did lose. So you cannot do what you've done the last 2 games in Minnesota. You're 10.5 point favorites. Just say bleep it and see if somebody can get hot.
Well, this is what I thought was so confusing about the Warriors' strategy once Steph went out, is that like when you lose your best player, like we talk about in the playoffs how rotations shrink, right? Because you want to control the controllables, right?
Yes.
You want to just put your best players in the situation because there's less volatility among star players than role players. I thought the best game plan when you lose a superstar is take one of those role players and tell them, you're now a star. You're the focal point.
That's what they did with Jimmy Butler.
Well, no, Jimmy Butler's also a star.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's what they did with Buddy Hield. But then they just went away from Buddy Hield. I was like, we're just like, one game it's going to be Buddy, one game it's going to be Kuminga.
But did they go away from Buddy Hield, or did Buddy Hield just become Buddy Hield?
I mean, game 4 we can have debates, but game 3 he was fine. He just only took 11 shots.
But that game you had Kuminga scoring 30 and you had Butler scoring 30 plus 2. I think that's just the game that they should have. I don't think that they have any regrets on that game besides the fact that they just blew it, right? I don't think they lost because they didn't go to Buddy enough.
Sure, but Kuminga had 30, Butler had 30, and they only scored 97.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you talked about it earlier. It's like the Timberwolves were like, sure, Kuminga, just do downhill drives.
Yeah, come on. Layup line. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. The Timberwolves were fine with that strategy because, again, 30 from Kuminga, 33 for Jimmy, and they only scored 97.
And they're going to do the same thing tonight. So, prop talk, take Kuminga's over. Because what scared me off of that was the idea that the Warriors were going to do something different, but they just didn't. Because Steve is thinking, what can I do? Nobody can make a shot. So the only way we score is with Kuminga. That's it.
Yeah, and that's the weird part about it. Like in the game 4, which it felt like they were down the whole time, but it was actually closer than I realized, is they had 5 players score in double figures. But Kuminga had 23 on a high volume shooting, and that's not going to do anything.
Podziemski had 11, right? And it was all in the matter of, I think, 3 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
And then never scored again. Depending on what happens tonight, and to answer the question, I don't see how the Warriors are winning tonight.
No.
The only way they win tonight is some random Brandon Podziemski. This is how bad they are right now. A random Podziemski 25-point game, and Jimmy 25, and Kuminga layup line 20.
Or something that we're just going to like remember 3 years from now. Like, remember that one time Lonnie Walker had like 20 points in the fourth quarter?
You need a Lonnie.
Yeah, like who's the dude who's not just going to have like the rando that has a great game, a rando that's going to be like, only Michael Jordan has ever done this in a playoff game.
Guy Santos. That's what it's going to be. Whether it ends or not, because I think the Timberwolves are moving forward, I do want to spend some time because this guy, I believe he has a player option and he's in line to make a good bit of money. But the Naz Reid thing, I don't know if it's a tough matchup, but he does not look. He I don't know if he's regressing. I don't know what's going on with Naz Reid, but that fool cannot stop fouling people. Okay, he walks on the court. He's got 3 fouls, and I don't know if he's going to drop low enough to be in the Kings' vicinity. But yeah, he's been off.
He cost himself some money. You're saying?
Definitely cost himself some money.
Not quite Ty Jerome, but he's cost himself.
Well, yeah,
some
Ty
money.
Jerome. I mean, he might be in that Dennis Schroeder category. Whitey Gleason, Mr. Moneybags, he joins us next. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Get ready for Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade Event, May 15th through the 18th. Get the highest value for your RV guaranteed during the biggest RV trade event of the year. Shop the best RV deals in America with new RVs starting as low as $92 a month. Get ready for the holiday weekend with up to 45% off grills and 25% off product installation. Plus, we'll have free hats, free propane refills, free food, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the incredible Red, White, and New Trade Event, May 15th through the 18th at your local Camping World.
See for full details and disclaimers.
Wow, it's you, the Capital One Bank guy.
That's what they call me.
Mind if I get a selfie?
Yeah, sure thing. Say no fees or minimums on your Capital One checking account.
Wow, that's a keeper. So, where are you heading?
I'm off to spread the good news that Capital One helps people keep more money in their wallet with no overdraft fees.
Oh, you're the best Capital One Bank guy.
Hey, mind if I get a selfie?
Sure.
Say, Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
Power Business Technology is proud to be a 100% independent, locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Local ownership cuts out the red tape, allowing ourselves to never be too busy to personally answer the call when our clients need us. Recognized for excellence in service execution, training, and customer service, we're proud to be named a Toshiba ProMasters Elite Dealer since 2021. Contact us today for all your business printing needs at 844-POWER-BZ. That's 844-769-3729, or visit us at powercopiers.com. Bonneville International Radio Station contests are open to participants at least 18 years of age and older that are residents of California and who reside in one of the 6 counties that make up the Sacramento metro area, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest are not eligible to win, unless the station otherwise specifies in its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 30 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. For a copy of the general contest rules, visit khtk.com.
Want the best movie experience in town? Join Sacktown Sports IMAX Pass by visiting sacktownsports.com. Sign up today. You can win tickets to see this week's films at the Esquire IMAX Theater.
Memorial Day savings explode at latest Elk Grove Chevy. Save $12,500 off MSRP after rebates. Every new 2025 Silverado Turbo Max in stock.
Exclusively at MadeUsChevy.com. Now that's big, huge. Together, let's drive.
See dealer for details. At SMUD, we power business with incentives, strategic account advisors, 50% lower rates, and clean energy solutions. We help businesses thrive. That's our clean power promise. Learn more at smud.org.
Live and local
It's Allen Stiles
on Sacktown Sports.
Whitey Gleason joins us. Whitey, did you hear about the lottery situation with the Kings? They were one ball away.
All I heard about today was Allen Stiles. We had a staff meeting, and you weren't there. And Allen does this is so great, and he does this. And why can't you jackals be more like Stiles? That's all I heard about today.
How did that make you feel?
I already knew it all, so I was like, I know that Allen's got it going on.
Wow.
But I did see what you're talking about. Yeah, how the Kings came within the number 9 of winning the lottery. If the last ball had come up, and if it had been the number 9, boom.
Okay, well let me ask you this then.
Okay,
are there legal reasons why they don't do it live? Because could you imagine the electricity at Tom's Watch Bar as the last ball comes up?
Now that sounds really exciting, but I think that's the exception rather than the rule. I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, it's a lottery.
Yeah.
Also, nobody knows when it's happening because you have to have the booklet in front of you and you have to like flip the pages fast enough to figure out what it is.
But
so
that's the thing that, pardon me, Kyle, but people that say it's rigged, they don't realize there's people watching it when it happens. And they know that it's not rigged.
And are those people paid off?
No, sometimes they're reporters.
They also publish the video afterwards.
Yeah, that's available
after they
too.
doctor it.
Fake moon landing, right?
After they doctor it. Whitey, what's on the show today?
Today? On the show?
On the show.
This show today?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question, Alan.
Oh, come on.
You've caught me unawares there. We're going to be talking about, I know you guys were talking about Aaron Gordon and the The Russell Westbrook
Yeah.
story. And we got the NFL schedule coming out today at 5.
That's right. I mean, I can't do this. I was joking. The leaks per so-and-so, the Niners play the Titans week 15 at Levi. Okay, I'll just wait.
Do we have any of those leaks yet? I haven't actually.
No, there's plenty.
They are playing at the Giants week 9.
They are playing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Random leaks.
Yes. And that Titans one was real, by the way.
Have you noticed that the 49ers, they've kind of been booted off the main stage?
I think that this is and I've been hot, Whitey. My Jacob Wilson, he went off 2 home runs yesterday. They beat
How have
them.
you been hot? Everyone knows he's great.
Well, I took him as rookie of the year.
Early.
Early. And I'll give you, and I said A's. What was it, Kyle? I can't remember the A's over under, but I said take the over.
I think it was 72.5 or something.
And I'm hot.
74.
They're trending. I said take A's and Giants over. And I'm going to give you another one. I don't even know what the Niners over under is. The win total, take it.
Over?
Over.
Oh, okay.
Over.
But have you noticed, that's a long way of not answering a question. Did you notice that? I mean, you've talked a lot there and didn't answer my question. You should be before Congress or something.
Yeah.
But did you notice that at least so far, we're not hearing about the 49ers playing a lot of the big time games, the prime time games.
A lot of Cowboys.
Thanksgiving. Yeah.
It's a lot of Cowboys. And it's always a lot of Cowboys, man. It's I think that, and we were talking about whether or not people will actually get sick of them. Colin Cowherd had some things to say. He said it reminds them of when Apple put the U2 soundtrack on everybody's phone, and it just got to a point where, all right, how much are you going to push this thing? I think as long as it's Dak Prescott and with George Pickens and, there's going to be drama between George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. People are gonna hate watch, and hate watch is the strongest form of watching besides actual fandom. And they will never.
It's a strong brand.
It's the strongest brand. I don't want to, kind of mess up the mood here, but I don't know. Maybe they start to. Maybe things change after Jerry moves on, but I think Jerry is such a strong figure.
The deceased thing is interesting.
The deceased thing he said, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
I just think
comes back to that with you.
I just think
I gotta find that cut.
I think Jerry is just a really strong brand, and it's just they're not going to be able to.
But they were a strong brand before him too.
They were.
Let me tell you that. Yeah.
No, I know.
But he saved him, Whitey.
Yeah.
Him and Jimmy Johnson saved the NFL.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah. How about them Cowboys? Then Jerry said, "Jimmy, okay, this is my show.
Yeah.
Move on and never won again."
Except the first year.
Yeah. As far as the Kings are concerned, we were talking about a new route.
Who was your trade target today?
It
heard
was
you say some people guessed it, but most didn't.
Drew Holiday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was Drew Holiday. I was a no, but I understood it. But I was thinking about just the idea of using Scott Perry's connections and trying to open up a little bit of cap space. The 2026 free agents, I did a quick check, but just the idea of, hey, we're either going to blow everything up or we're just going to keep Levine and DeMontis Sabonis and whatever we get back for DeRozan, we're just going to roll with that. There are other options. The theme of the show today was basically there's more options than what we're talking about. You might not like them, but there are more options.
One of the options is push in your chips till the trade deadline next year.
Right.
A lot of people around the league apparently think the Kings may start spinning off parts then.
And
I just want to trade back into the first round.
There you go. You like this draft that much, huh?
No, I don't. I think the Kings need to have somebody. Sorry, somebody just hit a ball into the right field bleachers. Ketel Marte.
Yeah.
417. Yeah.
Beautiful day out there.
Yeah. We talked to a lot of Kings fans yesterday, and Kings fans are just they want to tear it up. They want to blow it up. And it's because they don't feel like the Kings have that hope, the new hope. Star Wars, a new hope. They want that new hope. They want that young player that they can look at and go, that's our key going forward. And that guy's not on the roster right now.
So you think that they need to make a trade for the actual player, or you think they need to make a trade or trade into the first round for the actual? Well, actually, you already said
they need to get younger, I think. It really
sounds like you say they need to do it to appease the fans.
No, but it's I think the fans are onto something. The team needs to get younger.
I know you'll
for
be
the future.
I know you'll be doing the show, or else you would have got this call before me. I am. It is a quite the bunch today. The putting party that's going on, and I've been invited.
I heard you talking about that today.
So it's Scott Marsh.
Yeah.
It's Scott Marsh, myself, Carmichael Dave, Jason Ross,
Chris Verlotta.
Chris Verlotta. He just grabbed the putter that's in here. He doesn't even golf. And I'm trying to do something that this station's never done, Whitey. I'm trying to bring us home that championship. Have you ever done a putting contest?
No, I don't know that I have. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I should. Jason said he's not wearing golf shoes, but I kind of want to wear golf shoes.
Come on, Alan. What are we doing?
Put a glove in my pocket, in my back pocket. I need to be in the mood, Whitey.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever works for you.
You know what? Should I just not even wear golf and stuff?
Can people come watch? All your fans, can they come out and watch you today?
I would. I don't see why not.
Okay.
I don't see
Hagen
why not.
Oaks?
Hagen. And
Okay.
I love Hagen, by the way. No, seriously, I do.
Well, yeah.
Because the
when you say seriously, it makes people think you don't
Right.
actually mean
no,
it.
because the ads
that
run all the time.
Or
so
that you're lying about being serious before.
No, the ads run all the time. The first time I golfed with Chris Watkins was at Hagen.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
it has a special place in my heart.
Really nice course. And don't sleep on those 2 9s they have as well.
That's right.
The blue and the red.
The blue and the red. And then, and yeah, would you just golf both?
Mm-hmm.
Just golf both.
That one, the 9th hole, you got to go over the chasm, and then you got to go down and go back over another chasm.
Oh, yeah.
That's a tough hole.
I think I was supposed to par that one, and
that's a tough one.
I just canged the last putt there. That's what happened. The De'Aaron Fox convo, did you hear me being a little petty?
I didn't.
Okay, so De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper is slotted to go number 2. He is a big boy point guard. And Jonathan Gavoni says they think they can play with all 3 with Stephon Castle. I don't think about the same time, but they're not going to trade. They're not going to. They like Dylan Harper is what he's saying. He said it's 99% chance that he goes number 2. That doesn't necessarily mean to the Spurs, but he says he's going number 2. The Spurs like him. They think that they can play all 3. And I'm just thinking De'Aaron Fox just can't get away from these point guard disputes, huh?
Yeah.
Ever.
Right. He's not going to like that.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
And he's a big boy.
Mm-hmm.
And look, he could stay in Texas. There are ways to stay in Texas.
Yeah, maybe De'Aaron stays and Harper's on his way to Milwaukee.
Well, and Kyle's even talking about what if Stephon Castle finds his way out the rotation, the reigning rookie of the year.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Are you reigning already? I heard that on the broadcast. It might have been Richard Jefferson. He said reigning 6th man of the year, Peyton Pritchard. Is he reigning already?
No.
Right? It didn't sound right to me.
Reigning would be next year.
Yeah. That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
But
I thought
he's the newly crowned.
Yes.
Yeah.
When he said that, I thought, I don't think that's right.
But also, I don't think Naz Reid could still be the reigning 6th man of the year because it's not him anymore.
No, there is no reigning.
Technically, he is until a new one's announced, isn't he?
Well, but hasn't Pritchard been announced?
Yeah.
Yeah, he has been.
Right. Yeah.
And then Richard
So
Jefferson
of course
reigning.
he's not. If there's a new one, of course he's
Right.
not.
There is no reigning.
But it's
right
still
now.
technically the year after.
No. There's no reigning. Thank you for listening to the Allen Stiles Show, and Whitey for not raining on my parade.
That wasn't that good at all.
The Drive Guys are coming up next, and your segue strikes again.
No, you're just saying a bunch of words.
Whitey Gleason, Kyle Draper, Jay Johnson. Thanks to Kyle, doing a great job as always. Thanks to Anthony for filling in. I need to be filled in on our staff meeting. And until next time, when we return with the Putt National Championship, secure the bag,
make the putt,
light the beam. Yeah, I would have Pete Rose in as well. I mean, the deceased thing, it's interesting. One.
Wait. The deceased thing, it's interesting?
Well, letting people in after they're
going to clip that?
Please.
Don't forget my podcast.
Gotta go.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh tasting